just a couple of guys, a couple of microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, of course, alongside of me is Mr. Joe Talkin.
That's right, Know-It-Alls. Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know show. I know you missed us.
Yeah.
It's been a little
Back
bit.
home together.
And, I was remotely, for the most part, and it sucked. I'm not going to lie. I apologize for the probably poor audio that you had to suffer through. If you checked in.
Hey, but connections, happen like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Technical issues. Hey, we're no, stranger to the technical issues here, Joe.
Of course
so
not.
It is what it is here.
Of course not.
But I'm glad that you're here, though. It's been a while.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, it's exciting to actually do the Football on the Know stuff. So let's have some fun
Finally.
here. Joe, if anybody out there, especially that's watched us from the Blindside Blitz, hasn't checked out our show on the Football on the Know show, why don't you tell them where they could find it?
Oh, it's so simple, Jim. Let me tell you. Everybody, all you know-it-alls out there, if you're either you're new to the show or if you're just kind of, if you've been a regular for quite some time, still do your very best. Head over to YouTube for us. Help us grow this channel of ours. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit those thumbs up for us. And also, make sure to share. Sharing's caring. So the more that you guys share the videos too, it also helps YouTube and lets them know, lets the algorithm know, like, hey, these guys are starting to do something. Maybe we should boost them up and get them a little bit more noticed. That's what we're all about, interactiveness. We are the best interactive talk show you're going to find. Point blank and simple is that. So make sure you tune in, and we're here to have a good time, talk some football, and have some laughs.
Yeah, definitely. And starting off with some laughs here, we're going to get right up to the first segment, and that's my Milk Carton missing player of the week. And this was kind of tough because I wasn't sure. I don't always want to do quarterbacks, but sometimes you have to because there's some of the big performers. That's the attention, exactly. The guy who kind of forces the whole scoring and things like that. Handling it. And there's some players that are up and down here, but being gone for a few weeks too. This player that I decided to put on here because it's been just a terrible year for them altogether, too. And I think they're deserving to be MIA on the missing Milk Carton. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here is my Milk Carton missing player of the week. And it is none other than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, that's right. Even though he put up like 330 yards last week, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. And a few yards scrambling. So, I mean, this guy, again, throughout the season, too, has not performed well at all. Not as up to his, MVP status or, leading the Chiefs and, in scoring and things like that. Really doesn't look like himself or the Patrick Mahomes of old this year. And a lot of turnovers. So I think, that's part of their whole thing with why the team has been really in tight games and why they haven't been able to really, stand out and really, put some teams out early with scoring and why they've been so close is his terrible play and the turnovers. Even despite some of the, the lucky calls they get from the referees and things like that, and the help, as you would say. Patrick Mahomes, he's going to be my missing player of the week.
Jim, the referees are looking to change the colors of their uniforms.
Yeah.
They're going to go to a red and white stripes.
Nice.
With a nice little chief patch on the chest.
Very nice, Joe.
Because that's really what it's getting to the point to. Roger Goodell has to step in and do something because NFL fans, not just like AFC West fan bases, but even across the NFL, it's starting to get heavily noticed that the referees, it looks like they kind of hold the hand of the Chiefs throughout games. Maybe not all the time, like dictating the game and helping them win, but at least helping them from time to time throughout the game. Whether they choose to not throw a penalty against the Chiefs because, I didn't see it. or they do see it and they might throw it once, maybe twice, and then ignore it the rest of the game. So it's like it's gotten to the point where like it's definitely noticeable. Everybody's noticing it. Everybody's starting to complain about it. And something needs to be done there. But you're right about Patrick Mahomes. You know, he has been struggling this year. And even if you look before the Saints game that he just played, his touchdown to interception ratio was 6 touchdowns and 5 picks.
Right.
I'm sorry, but that is terrible. And if anybody has watched the games of Patrick Mahomes playing and the Kansas City Chiefs, good God, it's awful. There's times when he just flat out throws it behind the receiver, throws it in the dirt. Like, there's times that happens, but you know what? It's so funny how when you're put on the pedestal, that they ignore those faults. They ignore everything. Even the announcers calling the game.
Yeah.
Oh, the throw got away from him.
Yep.
What? Yep. Just say what it is. It's a bad throw. He threw it behind the receiver.
Yep.
Like, come on. Like,
right.
It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, and right now he's 6 TDs, 6 INTs, so he's on pace to go 18-18 on the season right now.
He's doing great. He's doing great.
Yeah, up in a rating of 88.9. So, yeah, Mahomes, he's right there on my Milk Carton missing player. So, that's a good one. That caps up the week. One. Yeah, I thought that was good because, again, I look at guys that perform, usually, known for doing something, because it's easy to dog on the guys who just never do nothing, because that's, what they are, just a really great player. But
right on.
So, yeah, just coming off of a week where there's a lot of different ups and downs again, Joe. Some, controversial calls on some other things. And
there's always those, right?
Yeah. I actually read another article today about that Gray touchdown for the Giants again. They were looking at it and they said that the ball crossed the plane. It was there, but in the fact that how it wasn't even really that inclusive that it wasn't turned over. You know what I mean? But they just said because they kept a whistle, they didn't blow a whistle, kept the play going. They can't exactly turn it over, but they didn't really look into it in depth. They just showed the same angle over quick, and then they just switched the commercial. They came back and they just like, hey, it stands. But yeah, I mean, I looked at that, and many people, like I said, they're looking at it. You could see that the ball crossed the plane before the ball came loose. But whatever, you know what I mean? They still, like you said, referees though they still can't get things right.
With those type of calls, they're always judgment calls.
Yep, and
unless they are clear, concise, and you can't like there's no bones about it, it's definitely this. Like, that's the only way they can overturn something. And that's kind of the rule that they stick by. So like, even though they might be like, well, yeah, it kind of looks like a score, but we already called it this way, so just because we kind of feel like it maybe not, broke the plane, we're just going to leave it the way it was because we're still iffy about it. So it's like, unless they all come to all come to an agreement and be like, oh yeah, that's definitely like that's and we got to overturn it. Anybody that has any kind of other ideas, they just won't do it. Mike Taka says, power is flickering here. Worst of the hurricane is less than an hour away. Just wanted to say happy hump day and keep up the great work. P.S. The Bears still suck. Mike Tackett, the OG know-it-all himself. Thank you, Mike. Our prayers and well wishes are with you and your family. Make sure you stay safe down there, brother. Yeah. And definitely check in, after everything's all said and done. Let us know you're okay for sure.
Absolutely. That's a hardcore know-it-all right there. That chimes in with us while he's sitting out a hurricane coming.
Yeah, checking in. He's like, you know what? I could picture Mike as like kind of like one of those like warriors, like standing out, like yelling at the storm. He's out there in the front porch. You can't take me. I've done this before. Come on, right? This is the best you got.
Yeah.
I could definitely see
that. I could see that. I could see even Paul Matty down there too. I could see him down there, like outside, drinking some bourbon. You know what I mean? Hanging, waiting, smoking a cigar. Like, here you come. Bring it on. Oh, but definitely on a serious note, we wish everybody the best down there. Hopefully
definitely.
everybody's safe down there too. And
and Jim, like we have a lot of people that we know very well that's down there. Damian Thomas is down there.
Damian.
I asked him if he was okay so far. He said, so far I'm safe. Everything's good. Guys from the league that moved down there that I know, they're okay so far. My brother, he lives close to Tampa, if not in Tampa, and he actually uprooted. He went to the East Coast of Florida, like over to where my parents' house is. Okay. So looking to stay safe there. So we got a lot of know-it-alls that are down there, and we wish everybody down there safetyness. and we hope that we God bless you and he'll watch over you guys and protect you. So so now that we've gotten serious, we really kind of turned the show around. So now it's like the hurricane report.
All right, so
but I'll tell you, there's some other hurricanes that are brewing in the NFL.
Yeah,
let me tell you, like there's a lot of confusion. I'm sorry, but after week 5, it's taught me nothing about some of these teams. Just when you think that you got a team pegged, and you're like, okay, I got this. I figured this team out. They look like they're not just competitive, but they could win a few games, and then they should win this week, right? Nope. like the Seattle Seahawks game to me, still today bothers me that I was so sure that the Seahawks were going to win that game against the Giants. I just was so sure. And, hey, kudos to the Giants. They pulled off the win. They shocked the world against Seattle. And it's like games like that, like kind of like throw me through, I just don't get it. Cardinals. The Cardinals, I understand Niners didn't have everybody at their disposal, but they had some that came back. George Kittle, man, I don't get it. The Cardinals came and they stole a game against the Niners. So, geez. We need to further dissect the NFL to just kind of get any kind of extra information on these teams and see if we can figure them out before it's too late, because we're not doing that hot in terms of picks this year.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. But we got our man Frank Balls in the house, too. What's up, Frank?
What's going on, Frank? Welcome to the show, brother.
All right. So what we decided to do this week, because we're up to week 6 now, so let's have some fun with some of the teams, especially that have been kind of surging lately. So we're gonna look at a good handful of these guys, because there's a lot of guys right here, like on the cusp here, that could potentially go somewhere or maybe not. So we're gonna go with the good old everybody's favorite here, Joe. Are they contenders or are they pretenders here? So
that's right.
All right, so let's get right into it. First team we're going to talk about here is the Minnesota Vikings, because we're going to hit up the 5-0 teams.
All right.
Just kind of take a scope of that, and then we'll move at it from there. All right, so the Minnesota Vikings, Joe, you talked about it in the preseason, how Sam Darnold was going to probably earn this spot anyways, whether it was J.J. McCarthy being healthy or not. Yep. He does, and he is starting, and this team is on a roll. And they haven't just beaten some terrible teams, Joe, to go 5-0. They've beaten some good ones here.
Yes, for sure.
So they hold off, this week, and they're able to pull out a victory again in a tough one.
Right.
But Sam Darnold looks good. They're able to run the ball effectively too. Even though Aaron Jones got a little banged up last week,
he left the game.
Yep. But overall, again, that defense looks really good, and that team all together, really a powerhouse right now so far in the league, and kind of surprising people.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing about all that is that Justin Jefferson was a little bit banged up before he even came back. I believed he missed week 1, and then Jordan Addison was out until last week. Like until he came back later, and he's just kind of fairly new to the lineup now, and they've been doing it without some of these players. Look at TJ Hawkinson. He's due to come back. The tight end. So, and he hasn't even stepped foot on the field yet. So that's another offensive weapon that he's going to have at his disposal. So you look at this team that not only have they been surprising most people out there, but also they're doing at a very high efficient rate. and beating really good teams and overcoming adversity at the same time. Jeez, I gotta say, like, the one thing that I thought would hold back the Vikings is I wasn't 100% sure about the defense. I just wasn't sure.
Right.
You know, Daniel Hunter leaves and he goes to the Texans. And what's funny is that pass rusher goes to the Texans, and then their pass rusher for the Texans leaves and goes to the Vikings and Jonathan Greenard. Mm-hmm. So both guys are really good. One's younger, one's older, but they're still getting the job done. And even though those type of things happened, there's a little bit of a change. The Vikings are just flat out getting it done. They are 5-0. They're one of two undefeated teams so far in the NFL, and they keep continuing to roll through teams. Honestly, I don't think there's anything that's going to slow them down. I don't think it's going to skip them. The only thing that you could worry about is the injury bug. That's it. Because this team, when they're all out there, they are overachieving, I feel like, than anybody anticipated. Mm-hmm. So for me, the Vikings, even though they're 5-0, they got a lot going for them, and they're getting healthier as the season goes. So Addison is back now with Justin Jefferson. I'm wait. We got to wait until TJ comes back, and this offense could be even more dangerous. Now, obviously, when we just talked about the injury bug, Aaron Jones went down with the injury. He left. Mm-hmm. He might miss a week. Maybe it might be a couple of weeks, but we all know that he'll get right, he'll get healthy, and then he'll return. So I got to say, like, for the Vikings, to me, have shown me nothing but or haven't given me anything but confidence in them. And I still stand by what we said before the season started, that not only was Sam Darnold was going to start, but he was going to shock a lot of people and like, hey, wait, who's this guy? Like, where the hell has this Sam Darnold been? Yeah. Well, he's always been around. Just no one really gave him a full-on opportunity and built a team around him. Now he comes to the Vikings. That team is kind of already built well. Insert Sam, and now look at the results. So for me, for the Vikings, like, they're contenders all the way.
Yeah, definitely. And again, this is a career year for Sam Darnold, the way he's playing. Highest touchdown percentage of his career at 8 right now already. And it's just early on in the season. And like you said, it's not even just him. It's the way the team is playing all around. They're second in rushing. Yeah. Offensively with the pass too, they're doing well, big plays. And when they get in the red zone, they're 5th in the red zone right now. So they're getting down there, and they're just outscoring people too on top of it. Mm-hmm. All right, so next up, we've got the other 5-0 team, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. And we talked about them just a little bit here when we were talking about Patrick Mahomes and his woes. The Chiefs, 5-0 right now, but they've just been able to pull out victories by the skin of their teeth in a lot of these ones, Joe. Like I said, don't really look like the Chiefs of old. Injuries at the wide receiver position to where they brought, Juju Smith-Schuster in there, and now also, Isaiah Pacheco's injured here, so they had brought in Kareem Hunt and stuff to patch up this team a little bit here. But again, still not putting up the points that they're used to. And I think a lot of teams now with it all, they're not very scared right now. So people aren't scared of this team.
No, and why would you be? Mm-hmm. Like you look at like their point differential. So points for is 118 at what they've scored at this point in the season, and then points against. This defense that was supposed to be kind of like one of the better defenses in the league, they're giving up 85 points already. Mm-hmm. And it's it's just, it doesn't look good. So like not even Patrick Mahomes is not playing up to par. But the whole team in its entirety is not playing up to their usual standards. Right. So their record to me is like almost like a mirage. It's I see it, but I just don't believe it. Because we've seen these games where Mahomes has struggled. He's missed some passes. He's made a couple mistakes, and you could say, oh, well, it's because they don't have Hollywood Brown and they don't have Rashee Rice. I don't think that's just it. I think that this team is just not playing well. They're not playing like we normally see them play. So even though they have great coaching, they have talent, and they are 5-0, but that 5-0 isn't convincing. So even though they're 5-0 for the Kansas City Chiefs, like I gotta say, like at this point, this is going to be an uphill battle for them the rest of the season. If this continues like this, and it's all these games are going to be close and right down to the wire, and it's about who makes less mistakes. I gotta say, like I don't see a contender in this team right now. I don't. They're a pretender at the moment for me, because until they resolve some of these issues that they're going through, when your tight ends are your 1 and 2 option on offense, that's not always a good thing. Usually,
not exactly. Yeah.
Usually, like they dictate that, right? So, like usually the Chiefs will dictate when they use Travis Kelce, when they use. I always forget the dude's name, but he just signed an extension with the Chiefs. 83. I remember number 83.
Great. Noah Gray? No. Who is it?
Noah,
no. Yeah, that's no. What the hell is his name?
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up because it's gonna bother me.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah.
I know it. No, because my son's a Chiefs fan, so I see this guy all the time.
Yeah.
I can't even think of it right now, but
anyway, but when you're
Noah Gray,
relying heavily on
ding ding ding.
Noah Gray,
yep.
When you're relying heavily on the tight ends as your receiving threats,
yeah.
And obviously they have the rookie and Xavier Worthy, who can literally take the top off a defense with no issues. There was a couple times even where, and a lot of people are quick to judge. Xavier Worthy, the rookie who's super fast, probably the fastest, one of the fastest guys in the NFL, maybe the fastest. But he was wide open a couple times in that game against the Saints, like wide open, like there was no defender in the picture.
Right.
And he didn't throw it to him. But again, maybe he was rushed at the moment, you know what I mean? Because people kind of like nitpick on things. But still, thanks, Brandon. I appreciate that. You just said Noah Gray is 83.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So it's like I'm not convinced. I think this team is on not necessarily a downturn, but every game so far is like an uphill battle. So they're not winning as easily as they used to. And I don't know if it's going to continue like this or if they're going to fix some of those wrinkles. But right now, currently, like they are pretenders for me.
Yeah. And, the big difference here, you got to look at Travis Kelce, right? He's got to 220 something yards, 0 touchdowns right now. They've been trying to get him more involved in the offense. I think week 1 he had 34 yards. I think the second week he had like 5 or something and one attempt at him. So you can see last week now they really tried to force it to him, but not getting it done. And where is Travis Kelce most effective, Joe? In the red zone. And right now,
anywhere.
I get it there, but that's kind of their go-to guy a lot of times there. And right now, the Chiefs are 30th ranked on offense in the red zone. And come on, Chiefs sucking when it gets down to the goal line. That's something we haven't seen in a while. So that's a big factor to this and what's going on.
Well, what you're noticing too is like there's a slight transition with this Chiefs offense and how they're utilizing everybody. Travis Kelce isn't the predominant guy anymore. It seems like now they're going to more of a Noah Gray. They just paid this guy for a reason, not only just to keep him, but they realize that he's talented too, and they would like to utilize him as well. So whenever you're doing that, there's going to be some targets that get taken away from Travis. And then, they like to throw these like weird wrinkles in too with the running backs and Juju now is involved. Like he had a big day against the Saints. He had a lot of catches and yards and all that. So I just think it's one of these things where they're going through a different transition this year yet again. Like last year, it was like, well, they got Rashee Rice, but are they going to be the same? They don't have that burner. They don't have, but they adapted. Now, you don't have Rashee Rice. You don't have Hollywood Brown. So they're trying to adapt yet again, and it's changing the offense so much that they're not going to be that high-powered just constantly like throw it deep and make, chunk plays all the time. So that's
all right.
what
We
you
got a
wanted to do.
bunch of comments
Let's
in the
go.
comment section here, Joe.
Yeah, so Life Changer showed up.
Life Changer is
I
here.
knew it.
You
I
knew
knew
it. You
this
had
was
a
going to be
feeling.
the day.
This was going to be the day.
I knew it.
Oh boy,
He said Mayo Coffee,
Mayo
baby.
Coffee. It's Mayo Coffee Day.
Yes, we
All right.
definitely promised that.
something different here.
We definitely have to do that now. Life Changer. We just weren't sure if you were going to be.
Yeah, we
on
wanted to save it for you, so we haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
But we want to save it for you, so I'll have to get up there and get a little cup brewing here and do this for you.
Christian
Ugh.
Dickinson
Oh.
is in the house, everybody. One of our know-it-alls says Danny Dimes gets his first primetime home victory in years this week. He's super excited. He's a Giants fan. He can't. I mean, why? Hey, listen, this is your Super
Winners
Bowl.
don't use drugs.
This is your
Yes.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, right.
You beat the Seattle Seahawks.
No.
Stunned them. I didn't think it was going to happen, but it did.
Sit down.
But yeah, Brandon like to reply on that, said more like Danny Dimebag because he looks like he's on drugs with how awful he plays.
Well, awfully pleased. He didn't look bad last week, though. Again, that's what I mean. And like you said,
Not
we were
terrible,
talking about
no.
it.
He looked okay.
Last night, though, where is like what's going on with this offense here? You know what I mean? Where's Jalen Hyatt? You know what I mean? It's like this is your other young stud here of a guy here, your deep threat. And I don't see him at all. You're seeing Darius Slayton, getting the ball and things like that. Yeah, it's like
we
him. You don't know.
about-
You don't know if he's catching one that's wide open or dropping it. You know
We
what I mean?
talked
He's
about it
very
before the
unpredictable.
season even started, and we were saying, like you agreed, Jim, like Darius Slayton, okay, you have him on the roster, that's fine. That's a good rotational
He was
player.
in danger of getting cut.
But right, and he was also in danger of being cut. What about Jalen Hyatt? In his second year, like why not get him more opportunities? See what he can do for you guys, and then give him that starting role initially. If he struggles, then okay, you're like, all right, we'll put Slayton back in, and that's that. At least you kind of figured it out. But the fact that he hasn't had opportunities, and the fact that he hasn't even been given a chance yet. You drafted him for a reason. Why aren't you utilizing him? So
Right.
That's one of the many question marks of that team, and offense being one of them. So let's see if they can continue what they built against Seattle, and see if they can do it again this week.
They have a long road here. All right. Christian says, oh, my God, Hyatt is non-existent. Yeah, absolutely.
No
right?
kidding.
We've been asking for a long time for this.
The dude, listen, younger players like that, I understand maybe the rookie year, they're figuring things out. Maybe they're not ready yet. But your second year, you should show something. The second year, they should be getting an ample opportunity to say, okay, is he the guy we thought he was? Put him out there. Let's see what he can do. If he shows something, then you can keep building and keep developing him. And then who knows? Maybe he ends up being your starter easily. So, yeah, I'm perplexed with Jalen Hyatt and how he's just non-existent on this Giants team. They drafted him for a reason, to stretch the field and be kind of like a difference maker. But so far, they're just not giving him the opportunity. Life Changer said, LOL, he goes, I'm sorry I missed a few weeks, guys. They got my working hours crazy lately. Currently at work, I get off maybe 7:30 in the morning. Oh, man,
Oh,
an
man.
overnighter. He's a night
Damn.
owl.
So, all right. So he's listening to us
We
while he's
appreciate
working,
you,
though.
Life
We definitely
Changer.
appreciate
But
that.
yeah, what we'll do is, we want to try to do it.
I can try
in
and
this
fit
show?
in tonight in this show, seeing he's here, if he sticks with us here.
Yeah, Life Changer, just let us know if tonight is a good night for you. We'll do it. We'll do it tonight, or if you want us to wait till next week. Brian Blair chimes in. Know it all, Brian Blair.
Damn, man. He's surviving the storm down there
yeah,
too, probably.
yep.
All of our Floridians are joining with us. We
That's
love
right.
that.
They're all
we
checking
love you
in.
out there.
Maybe the Chiefs can trade for Tyreek. Miami doesn't need players right now.
Yeah, no, right?
Yeah, right. We're still on. The Dolphins just press the button pause. That's what they did. Tua's out. All right. Well, we know that we're screwed now. So, but
Well,
yeah.
again, how about that? So many haters on the Tua train. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were just like, he's not that
Exactly.
good.
Exactly.
He's got all those players.
He's garbage.
It's all them. It's the system. And look at what they're doing without him. Nothing. Barely edged out against,
Right.
a terrible Patriots team.
Exactly.
All right, what else we got here, Joe?
So
Rip 'em right on.
Christian comes in. He goes, "What's up with the run game?" He goes, "Why do we stop running it with Danny?" Honestly,
they maybe wanted to keep him a little healthier here too, which I know what he's kind of saying too, because there were times where I think even when they went for it on 4th down, or even like a short yardage situation,
right.
I'm thinking again, that's when you kind of do your read option here, or with
play
action, things like that with Daniel Jones, because
give an opportunity,
doing something different, instead of just like a zone right or something like that run or whatever.
If you
or
do that
strong
play
up the
action,
middle.
now you have the option of where he could run or he could throw it to a tight end or a running back or whatever. But yeah, so he said first couple of weeks we were running effectively with him, and the last few he hasn't even attempted to run.
How about Tyrone Tracy,
part of that,
though, Joe?
And part of that is because if they don't need him to run, why would you risk him running and possibly getting injured? And you're right, Tyrone Tracy, like last week, that dude went crazy. 18 carries, well over 120 yards, got a touchdown, and the dude just played amazing. Like, for his debut as a rookie, it was something to behold as a Giants fan. Like, a guy that you move on from Saquon Barkley. Everyone's kind of like, crap, we didn't re-sign Barkley. Like, what are we going to do? They bring in Singletary, and then, I mean, I wasn't excited for that move. I thought it was an okay move, like, because, you lost Barkley. You don't want to spend a lot of money. You bring him in. That's fine. They draft Tracy, and the dude's been waiting for this opportunity. I said before the season started to watch out for him because I felt like as soon as he got an opportunity, he was going to run with it, pun intended. And he did. So he took over the game. Like he just did such a great job running the football, finding the holes, bursting through them and just making the plays where they were at. So, that's got to be a nice spotlight now. So you look at that, and with Singletary due to come back, possibly this week, maybe not, but we'll see. You can't just rip the ball out of his hands and say, okay, now go sit the bench. You did your job. No, he's such a difference maker. You got to keep him involved. Or maybe did he do enough to win the job outright after 1 week? I think you need to see a little bit more from him, like, this upcoming week, whether Singletary's there or not. Split the carries up. Split the attempts up between both of them, and may the best running back win the position, even in the middle of the season. So, what else we got? We got Brand said in the words of my boy Kirk, you like that.
You like that? No,
My brother there, Brandon DeCapita, he is a huge Falcons fan and super jacked after the win that they had against Tampa Bay. And what a game. Oh, my God. That was a great game to watch. It was back and forth. It was right to the – oh, my God. That was amazing.
Though, man. Again,
how
after
they had
the
the
Levante David interception do you not lock up that game? It's in the bag after that. It's in the bag.
Exactly.
And,
exactly.
There you go.
He also said hurricane happening. We don't have anything else to do.
I think it was when we brought up the Floridians out there. We love that.
Great.
That's right.
I got nothing to do.
Nothing else
now
to do.
now
you come to us. I get that. And that hurts, but I'll take it though. That's fine. No, because again, I mean they're staring this thing in the face and they're joining us tonight. So I think that's special. I think that's very special.
Bro.
Life
take
Changer
care.
says commence the Mayo coffee gallon. I'm not doing a gallon.
Dude,
all right.
I don't want to die.
All right. So listen, if my wife makes this coffee here and she puts the mayo in there, you guys are going to believe us that it's in there, right? I mean, we don't have to do that right on air. Like,
you're going to be able to tell by my face. I know that.
You're, all right. Because that's what I think I'm going to have her do that ahead of time. Unless you want me to do it on here and scoop it, but it's not going to be a lot, I mean, enough to still add it like creamer. Well, but yeah, I don't know if I'll drink the whole thing. All right, anyways.
Yeah.
Well, Robert Spiller's in the house.
Life Changer's got to call it out though.
Yeah.
So like if he agrees to it and will trust us, we'll have her do it and bring it down to us. But if you would rather have us see us that like literally put the mayo in, that's cool too. Whatever.
Right. Yeah. Let us know. I guess.
Yeah. Another know-it-all. We got Robert Spillers in the house. Great. Says great show. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in. And listen, we got a little ball rolling here with all the comments here.
It is. We love
Thank
it.
you guys so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. It really does help us. And if you want to further help us, head over to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for us. That really shows YouTube and their algorithm that, hey, they're starting to catch a little bit of excitement. They're starting to catch a little bit of fans. Maybe we boost them up. Make sure you hit the thumbs up while you're there. Make sure you share it to anybody that you may know that loves football talk. And that's what it's all about. We are the best interactive NFL talk show out there. We want to prove everybody. And as you can see, as the comments keep coming in, we are going to address them. We are going to answer questions. We are going to, whether it be an opinion, something else that you might want to bring up and talk about, we're here for you guys.
That's right. Oh, that's right. Thank you, Steve. All right. So, hey,
we have
love it.
confirmation.
I
Life
trust her.
Changer says, I trust her. Take her to, you go, okay, take her to shake it. Not stirred.
Not stirred.
Well,
all right.
Well done.
All
Okay.
right, here we
We'll
go.
be
So
waiting for
I'll
that.
send the text now.
Yep. Send the
all
text.
All right, here we go. One small
One
spoon full
mayonnaise.
uh,
She's gonna be like, what?
of mayo.
What are you guys doing down there?
Yes. Here
But
we
anyway,
go.
so
right,
currently
so-
for everybody that's chimed in, that's new, that just kind of popped in, maybe you didn't hear what we're doing right now. We're doing Contenders or Pretenders.
That's right.
We are going through a few teams and letting you guys know. He said, tell her.
Tell her to shake it. All right. Yeah, so we
Okay.
already covered Minnesota Vikings, Kansas City Chiefs. They're 5-0 and stuff like that, too.
Yep.
I think, Joe, I didn't say what my point with the Chiefs.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
did to an extent,
Go
but
ahead.
I'm pretty much on the same thing what you're saying. Chiefs, yes, even though they're back-to-back champions and trying to do a three-peat here, and they are 5-0, they still haven't showed me enough now, too, and they've been lucky enough to win. You can either take that two different ways. You could take that, hey, that it's almost destiny, because in some of these low games, if you're able
They're
to
still
pull
able to
out
win.
a victory,
Right. Yeah.
that's very good, but that's also you're skating on thin ice and just riding out. And how long is that going to happen until finally some teams really get you here?
Well, they do it, like almost like the Seattle
she said a
Seahawks
question mark like
that have the 12th man. The Kansas City Chiefs also have a 12th man, but he wears red and white stripes, called the referee.
Yes.
So they get a little help, along the way too. So it's not so clean cut, game to game.
Yep. All right, so I got to meet up with her and get her on board with this whole thing.
Life Changer
So,
says, "How about those Texans?"
how about the Texans? Yes.
How
there you
about
go.
them
I wasn't
Texans?
sure about them again because they've been in
Jimmy
some tight
was
ones.
very negative on the
I wasn't
Texans
negative
early
on him.
on.
I just
It's
wanted
like
to see
CJ
some
Stroud's
more,
going to
and then-
suck this
and then
year.
there you
He's
go.
not
No.
going to do anything. No, go ahead.
No, but Tyler Dunn was like he wasn't sure. He thought they were a pretender right from the get go. He's like everybody's on their bandwagon too
I don't know
quick.
why.
Not sure, and I wasn't sure with them with Buffalo this
True.
coming week.
Yeah.
But we saw the difference here. Josh Allen trying to put too much on.
Are the
his plate
Texans part
together,
of this list?
and they banged them. The Texans are not. I don't
Okay.
think they're exactly sitting there at 4-1. I didn't put them at a contender and pretender because I think
Okay.
we both think that
We'll
they
save
are
that for
anyways.
later.
But
save
the
that for
team that they had beaten, I put on this list, and Joe, you're going to talk about it here while I get that coffee situation
Get that
together.
coffee
and it is
situation.
the Buffalo Bills here.
Ooh.
Circle the wagons as they are atop of the AFC East in a tight race here, but at 3-2, the last two games have fallen.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Buffalo Bills and the issues here? Khalil Shakir potentially could come back, hopefully for them. But Josh Allen, running like he is, things like that, taking hits. Now getting blows to the head's not good for him, and potentially he could be out for this team. So, what's
I
the
wonder
difference
if
with the last couple weeks?
I
here
wonder
for
if
them?
the NFL is going to do a investigation on that
Mhm.
because he kept saying he was
He was
fine and
fine,
everything
but-
else, but like he hit really hard.
Mhm.
That hit back of his head, hit really hard on the turf, and it makes you kind of wonder a little bit because I didn't see any medical doctors or anybody kind of red flag Josh Allen like, oh no, he's got to come out, he's got to get checked out. We got to make sure he doesn't have a concussion. So that to me was a little strange for the Buffalo Bills, but they're 3-2 right now. They are technically leading the division, but I gotta say, not by any stretch of margin at all. Like, they're only a game up. And that whole division in its entirety, the top 3 teams are all, within a game of each other. So Bills 3-2, Jets 2-3, and the Dolphins magically are 2-3. That's crazy. Patriots are 1-4. We kind of expected that out of them. Drafting that rookie quarterback, not really having a good veteran quarterback. They got an average guy in Jacoby Brissett, which they made that change this week. They're going to actually start the rookie in Drake May. Hopefully it kind of gives a little spark, and let's see what they can do with Drake May. But back to the Bills. We got Christian that says he thinks the Bills are pretenders. Also says that Josh going to get hurt at some point this year, and he already is banged up. Like, he has an injury to his hand that he's still kind of trying to rehab back to health. We look at last week and how hard he hit his head. So maybe potentially has a concussion. We'll have to monitor that this week. But yeah, like, this is a team that we thought collectively, that before the season started, our concerns were offensively. Not the running back, not the backfield. I really like Ray Davis, the rookie that they drafted. I really do like James Cook. Think that they're really good running backs, especially Ray. I think he definitely has the potential to be a starter one day. Offensive line is decent. It's good. They've done their job in re-signing some players there. But receivers, oh, my God. They drafted Keon Coleman to be that kind of go-to guy. Not necessarily a number one who's going to stretch the field all that well, but definitely a guy that he was going to be able to possibly be a favorite of Josh Allen's, and he's not. He's just not getting open like they thought he was going to. So he's struggling. I mean, he is a rookie. Sometimes it takes receivers longer to kind of get accustomed to and adjusted to the NFL. But, Khalil Shakir, missing him last week really hurt them, and it showed. He's potentially going to come back this week, if not next week. But again, they last week they had to rely on Keon Coleman to do something. He had one big play basically in that game. And then it came down to Dalton Kincaid, the tight end, and Dawson Knox and the running game, and Josh Allen himself having to run sometimes. So this team overall, like their offense, it's struggling. The defense, I think the defense was going to be another weakness of theirs. But even though they're without Matt Milano, they still have a decent pass rush. They still can get after quarterbacks. But that defense is not the same. They've lost some key pieces, and they really haven't replaced them with they have talent. I mean, I'm not trying to say that they just don't have any talent, but like not known talent. Right? Like there's some developmental guys like, Hamlin at safety. Like he's a guy who came back from a catastrophic injury, looks decent, but he's not great. Not yet anyways. But they got some pieces to work with, but they're not the same. So like offensively, I feel like that's the biggest weakness of theirs. And that's really why they're 3-2 is because they don't have a nice group of receivers to distribute the football to. Like Stephon Diggs was a playmaker. They don't have that playmaker. Oh my God, that looks gross. They don't have a playmaker like they did in Diggs, where when it came down to crunch time, they could just rely on Diggs to get open and get him the ball. They just don't have that guy right now. Khalil Shakir is the closest thing to that for Josh Allen. He's the guy that kind of moves the chains. He gets a lot of catches underneath and makes some things happen. But again, like with all that being said, now that Jim is back after I went on a tangent here about the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, you did.
I gotta say that the Buffalo Bills, to me, at 3-2, and the way they've even won the 3 games that they won, it's been a little ugly. Mm-hmm. So to me, right now, they're pretenders for me.
They're on the slippery slope, Joe. At the beginning, it was kind of surprise, because we
Right.
kind of thought too they would kind of be a little bit of a step back here because of the defense too, lost some people, not having Stephon Diggs, and then they were coming out strong and playing well. So people were almost like, hey, maybe it doesn't even matter. Josh Allen's putting it all out there and he's got it all on his own and they could do it. Sean McDermott's making it work on the defensive side of the ball too, but just not getting it done as of late.
Yeah, real quick, Life Changer said, I thought the same thing. They preach player safety, but putting Josh back in does not look like player safety. And you're right. You're right, Life Changer. He also said, the league is supposed to call a penalty on hip drop tackles. Go back to the Bears game. Go back to the Bears game. They hip drop tackled Joe Mixon, and he's been out since because of that hit. And I completely agree with you. I watched that game when that play happened. And I'm like, where's the flag?
We talked about our show after that. Yeah.
I just don't. Yeah. And we also brought up on the show, and we're just like, what? Wait, what? I thought we were talking about player safety here. We're gonna outlaw this hip drop tackle, and that was the perfect example of it. And they didn't, and he got injured on it too.
Yeah.
So it's like, Life Changer is absolutely correct. Like, you can't preach. Oh, we're here for the safety of the players. This is why we're going to wear balloon helmets. This is why we're going to wear extra padding. And this is why we're going to put penalties in all over the place where you can't touch a quarterback at all. You can't push them or else we'll throw the flag. Like, all this extra stuff now. But then you have an opportunity to capitalize on what you're preaching, and no flags, no penalties, no fines, no nothing, no suspension, nothing. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. And then he also says, lastly, no flag was thrown and no fine was given. Yeah, exactly. So this looks gross.
It
Life
does.
Changer. I'm not going to lie.
Let's see if I can, Joe. Let's see. I'm instead of you missing your camera up, I'm gonna change mine. See if I can take a look at this here with this coffee here. I'm gonna tilt my camera down so you guys get this
This
shot.
is gross. It looks like
it won't even mix. So I don't
No.
believe that he even drinks this stuff. Because look, it's curdled and stuff.
Yeah, this is
like it wouldn't even. It won't even mix.
This is gonna be
It was
gross, bro.
gross smelling when I went to go to put it in there, and it's greasy around the rim. But here we go. I guess on a count of three, Joe.
I guess so, bro.
All right, cheers. Hey, let's get. We're drinking out of our Grumblings Media mugs, by the way, everybody. Grumblingsmedia.com.
Grumblings
A
Media.
big supporter of us.
Cheers, bro.
There it is. Okay,
Oh,
here we go.
Here we go. Bottoms up. Oh, God.
Huh.
Why the fuck would he drink this? I'm definitely not chugging this. This is hot.
It is hot, and maybe I didn't put enough in there. To
Well, coffee's
to
strong
cool
to
it
begin
down.
with.
It is. It's the texture thing I think that gets you. It's not that. It's not. I can't really taste it that much though. It's not that bad.
Better not be sick tomorrow.
Yeah. It is sour. But there you go. I wouldn't see drinking that all the time.
I wouldn't drink it at all
Why did I drink so much of it?
because you have to drink it now. It's
Do
coffee.
we have to chug the whole thing? Yeah.
Well, we don't have to chug it. But we definitely have to drink it.
I'm trying to get the curds.
Trying to get all of them?
Eat the curds like this.
Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
It's like I'm trying to turn the mug, but they keep running away from me.
Yeah. All right. Hope you're happy, Life Changer.
Oh, I got one.
You got a strong one.
Oh, yeah, I got
Yeah.
a thick one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I think I'm good on that. Whew, okay, yeah, all right. So contenders and pretenders here. I think Will Levis is a pretender on actually drinking that crap. But there you go, Life Changer. We
That's
fulfilled our
Yes.
our punishment or whatever it might be, our celebratory
Our achievement.
our achievement,
milestone.
whatever, our milestone. There you go.
Thanks.
I tell you what, I might eat a banana out of it.
And thanks to Life Changer for that challenge because we needed 100 subscribers in order to do this.
That's right.
Because I'm
Yep.
sorry, guys, This started because of Will Levis.
That's right.
I can't believe he drinks that crap.
Yeah.
And you know what? When you think about it, he was doing this in college.
Right.
And in college, he had his own YouTube channel, and he did a lot of this. It wasn't just the coffee and the mayo and the banana peel and all that. He did this often because that's what was getting him subscriptions. That was getting him likes. That was starting to get, as crazy as it was, he was doing challenges and people were tuning in. So that's kind of where it all stemmed from. And it was another way to hopefully try to make a little bit of money, at college.
A few years ago, Joe, I mean, remember, this has got to be like 5 years ago now. I ate a Trinidad scorpion pepper on the show. And my tongue swelled like right up, and I couldn't talk properly with my tongue. Like this.
Yeah, he was dead.
And then,
he was dead. I thought he was gonna die.
Yeah. And then I had to really guzzle some milk here after that. So we've done things like that. So
we've done things like that.
Yeah,
and actually, nobody really appreciated that.
This wasn't that bad, but it depends on how much he puts in, because I went for one of the big chunks, and that's when it gets interesting. Yeah. But we're good. But we handled it. All right. A Life Changer said, "I'm glad I could help you guys grow. Let me know if you need another challenge. I got ideas."
Yeah,
nice.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
But like, what do we set the milestone at now? It can't just be a couple of subscriptions.
We got to get 200 now.
We got to get to 200.
Yeah, the bicentennial. Let's get it. Absolutely.
That's what we got to get to.
It.
So that's what we'll do. If we get to 200 subscriptions, then we'll do another challenge.
Yep.
And it's up to you guys, you guys out there, Life Changer, all our know-it-alls out there that are tuning in, you guys can figure out what that challenge is going to be.
Yeah.
You come up with some ideas or whatever that we can do right here. We're not going to videotape like Jim jumping over a car going 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Or anything like
get
that.
in trouble. But, all right. So, so let's go next with are they contenders or pretenders? A team that's had a few wins chained here together here. Really good defense.
Did you say pretender contender for Bills?
The Bills.
I don't know if you did or not.
Well, it's tough because
yes, because they're a decent
coming
team.
out of this. I think they're still a contender. I don't think they're pretending. I think they're still a contender, especially coming out of that division. So I think they just have a rough patch and things like that, but I think they're good enough to compete and do well. So I'm going to say they're a contender. Gotcha. Next up, I've got the Chicago Bears, Joe. Chicago Bears now sitting there at 3-2, and that NFC North division, to where all the rest are 3-2, or the Lions are 3-1, but they already had their bye week, so they're looking to play this week and continue on with that. But this team, like I said, has grabbed a couple of games here, and had a few victories in the last couple of weeks here too. But mainly riding on that defense here, and still the offense not looking particularly good, scoring off of turnovers and things like that.
Except for last week.
Yeah, exactly. But again, it's not like exactly Caleb Williams lighting up the league here too with his touchdowns and things like that. His touchdown to interception ratio is not very good at all either. So he's growing as we go week to week. But the Chicago Bears, for me, I'm bringing them up as one of these teams because Caleb Williams, people were super psyched about him joining the team with the weapons that he had, this defense. Matt Eberflus, people were thinking this coach was going to be coach of the year even this year. And now they've got a few wins here. Are they going to keep it going and make a push for the playoffs here? Or, again, are they just going to sit there and be kind of the worst team in this division, which is a good division?
I mean, and that's the thing, right? Like Chicago, like the surprising thing is that when they're home, they're undefeated at home. That's where they got their 3 wins, is when they're home. So they got that working for them. When you look at Caleb Williams, currently he's got a 62.9% completion percentage. He's thrown for 1,000 yards. And then when you look at the touchdown to interception ratio, it's very similar to none other than Patrick Mahomes, who has 5 touchdowns and 4 picks. So, I mean, I didn't buy him when he got drafted. I didn't think he was as good as some of the other quarterbacks that came out. And I had a lot of questions and concerns about him, coming from a USC where he was only asked to do a one-read offense where that X receiver is the guy you're throwing to. if he's not open, then make something happen. That's kind of like how they ran their offense. And that's why you saw him hold the ball a lot of times, run around like he does, and he still does it in the NFL where, like, if he doesn't see someone open, he starts kind of trying to figure something out with his legs and try to make a play happen rather than going through your necessary reads and go from one receiver to the second receiver to the third option. So that's the thing is, like, and leadership was another concern for me is I didn't think he had leadership to kind of to like bring a team together, rally the troops, that sort of thing, and be that true leader. Because we've seen some instances in college where he wasn't with his team on a upsetting loss. Instead, he was with his mom crying over the loss instead of like being there with his teammates and kind of like going through it, grieving or whatever. So Caleb Williams, I think that, you know, he did it. I got to say, he did a great job last week. And I understand you got to look at the opponent too. They played the Panthers, where Andy Dalton in his second start didn't play well against Chicago's defense, and Chicago's defense was very good. We already knew that part. Carolina's defense played poorly. Like it's almost like they didn't get off the bus. They didn't show up. It was ridiculous. So it led to Caleb Williams in this Chicago offense to kind of get a little bit of a spark and kind of, he threw for over 300 yards. He had a really good game. And, you know, this team in its entirety, I don't buy it after last week's win. Like, Caleb Williams hasn't been that successful as a quarterback until last week when he faced a very poor defense. They didn't show up. They didn't play well. So I take it like a grain of salt. I don't think Chicago is a contender at all. To me, they're easily a pretender. It's not even close. I understand the record's 3-2 and all that, but I think it's going to take a nosedive, especially when they play better teams in the season.
Right. And again, when you look at the teams that they had won against, it's Tennessee Titans, who basically Will Levis handed them that game. That's what started the whole I think mayonnaise in the coffee challenge, and then they were able to beat the Rams without Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp and whatnot, and then now the Panthers. So, and then they also have the Jacksonville Jaguars moving forward. So it isn't until later on in the season where they really start to meet some more competition, especially the last, like, say, 8 weeks of the year rather. So it's gonna be tougher as we move forward. So exactly, I'm gonna go with you as well and say that they're a pretender at this point, because like I said, it's gonna be a lot harder moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, is like Caleb Williams is a rookie. Like, you can't expect a rookie to come in and all of a sudden take you to the Super Bowl. Yeah. Like, it just doesn't really happen ever. Yeah. And the exception to that is we're probably not going to talk about them, but maybe we are. But like Jaden Daniels, like my brother just commented, he goes, Daniels better than Williams. And when we did our draft special, we had Daniels, or at least like I had Daniels, and I had now I'm drawing a blank. I had the Washington quarterback ahead of Caleb Williams. I had them both ahead of Caleb Williams. Yep. I thought those two, Michael Penix Jr., I had them both ahead of him, and I thought those two were the best quarterbacks coming out. Whether you take one or the other, I feel like
here I actually have the list still here right now, Joe. So I'll bring up the top 10 right now. Here you go. This was Joe's during the draft here. Michael Penix Jr., Jaden Daniels 2, J.J. McCarthy, Caleb Williams 4th, Drake May 5th, Bo Nix, Spencer Rattler, Jordan Travis, Devin Leary, and Michael Pratt cracks the top 10 for that's who he had in that. And so there you go, Jaden Daniels right there.
Right.
Yeah, I was right there with you too. I really like Jaden Daniels too. I liked what I saw on film here. And again, we just wanted him to bulk up a little bit more. But maybe I was afraid he was going to be injured. Still haven't seen that yet, but he seems fine. Like he's smarter.
My thing is, bottom line, if anybody was interested, and I understand, like Washington was not going to move out of that spot, but they would have if you overpaid. And I would have been completely okay to overpay for him. Because when you get a quarterback of his caliber, and you've already seen in a very small dosage, just how impactful he is. This is a Washington team that came from literally the depths of hell last season, and you insert Jaden Daniels. Yeah, there's some other pieces that they have added to the roster, but just by getting this quarterback now, it's elevated this team. They're leading the division.
Mm-hmm.
Are you freaking kidding me?
That's right. So that brings me right into the Washington Commanders then, Joe. It makes sense here. Are they contenders or are they pretenders?
Honestly, like the way they're playing, and here's the thing is, this offense, if you asked me this same question 2 weeks into the season, I would have said, like, no way. They're pretenders. They're not really ready to make that jump. And that was because they were limiting Jaden Daniels and not opening up that playbook, not allowing him to, like, just kind of, like, let him throw the ball up and down the field. Just let him do it. And then you build off of that. So then all of a sudden, week 3, week 4, going into week 5, like, you started to see that playbook open up. And then it was like, boom, 300-yard passing games, touchdowns being thrown all over the place. The offense just ignited and caught on fire. Like, and the defense fed off of that. And then they, in turn, who also were playing terribly, all of a sudden they started playing better because now they got a lead. They got something to play for. And you look at this team now, like, I know he's a rookie, but I have a lot of confidence in him because he's super smart. And like you mentioned, Jim, like, even though he's deathly mobile, like, he is the closest thing that you could compare to Lamar Jackson. But the only exception is Jaden Daniels is a far better passer of the football, can make all the throws. So you do that, you put that into a quarterback, and now you put him on Washington. Look at how well they're playing all of a sudden. I got to say, obviously the only thing that could derail it, because they are hot, because they are making things work, I think it's going to cut. And the true test is this week. We talked about Lamar Jackson. They play Baltimore in Baltimore. If somehow, I don't expect it to happen, I think the Ravens are going to win. But if somehow Washington goes into Baltimore and beats Baltimore, that's going to put everybody on notice.
Right.
I think that this team is a contender, but only if they continue to evolve as a team. You can't be comfortable with what you've accomplished in a few weeks. You got to keep building off of that. But I think that the offense is going to lead the way.
Right. And for me, it's the strong running attack for these guys too, because that's what it is. That's their bread and butter. They're second right now in the league in running, and then also for touchdowns and rushing touchdowns, they're first. Overall, first offense in the league right now too as well. So what's not surprising is the way their offense is running. We talked about this when they grabbed Cliff Kingsbury here to run that offense there. This is a match made in heaven right here.
Perfect quarterback for his system, yeah.
Now, the thing is, too, that is lackluster here, at least for now, on their defense, under Dan Quinn. He doesn't have the talent that he did with Dallas last year. So that's the problem here, too. Right. So
they got to build that up.
Exactly. Build that up here, too, to help out this offense, because there are going to be times where there's going to be these tougher teams with tougher defenses, like we were talking about with this upcoming game in the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah. It's going to be a little more difficult for them to score here and convert. Right now, the Washington Commanders are first in third down conversions and fourth down conversions right now, 100% on each of those. So outstanding. Well, at least for 100% on fourth downs, and 51.7% on third down. So these guys, again, moving the ball along, not having to punt, things like that, keeping it going, and that wears out defenses on the other side. So I like what they've done. Again, I wasn't sure what I was going to see out of this team. That's why I don't set my expectations high. And now that they're here, I could see them, doing something here, especially when some of these other teams, Philadelphia's on the ropes, Dallas still has some issues internally back and forth here. Again, Mike McCarthy's still on this 1-year deal right now. And the Giants are, who knows what the Giants are, We
still don't know what the Giants are. But what we do know is that the Washington Commanders have scored the most points in the NFC. as a team.
Right.
So they have scored 155 points up to this point in the season, which is the most in that conference. They have given up, however, 115 points on defense.
Exactly.
But I feel like that number is inflated because of the first couple of weeks where they're just playing so badly.
Yeah.
So let's see how that kind of, as the season goes, let's see how that, compiles up. But again, they are they are definitely the hottest offense right now in the NFC for sure.
Right. Brandon says Jaden Daniels will only get better too, much higher ceiling. Yeah, absolutely. Brian's out there, says glad Tampa had them week 1 and not sure that's a win later on in the season. Yeah,
that's a good point. That's a very good point because now that they've opened up this playbook, they've allowed Jaden Daniels. They're no longer handicapping him. Like, hey, we don't want you to make any mistakes. We're gonna script the offense every week. Now they're like, you know what? Screw it. We need to open this offense up. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep losing games. We're gonna be right back up where we were last year, in the draft. So
let him be him. Yeah, and you said the other players are on board with it too, and he's commanding that team. You saw it again where he's like, "Hey, let's go for it. Just give me the play. Let's move."
Yeah,
and he's got that team running. So absolutely. So all right, so let's move on to the next team. We're gonna stay in that division here, and we're gonna move on to the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, sitting there at 3-2. Again, are they contenders or are they pretenders? We see them make the playoffs continuously, year after
losing
year,
the first round,
and then losing the first round, things like that. Dak can't get it done. We've heard all the stories before, and we always probably have this question every single year. But once again, especially after last week, where the Giants, before the week before even last, put it really, really close with them, and then last week, CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott not really getting on the same page a lot. It was a lot of Dak to Tolbert. Tolbert was a big factor in that game.
Yep.
And a miscue by Dak ended up pulling out an interception here to where it seemed like CeeDee was like, what are you doing, man? What's going on? So Dak with his head down, just ignoring him, things like that.
CeeDee called him out. Like he was on his way back to the sideline, and what he said is, somebody not throwing me the football. It's his fault. Basically just calling him out, saying it's your fault. And he said it loud enough on the sideline that he could definitely hear it. Dak kept his head down, didn't respond to him at all, probably because he understands how he is. CeeDee Lamb, to me, strikes me as a guy who's a little hot-headed. So if things aren't working out well, then he kind of has these outbursts a little bit. So for the Cowboys going forward, and this is a problem. They struggle to run the football. So every single week that they play, they're already one-dimensional. They just can't get the running game going, so they have to throw the ball, and that works against what has worked for Dak in the past, is when they have that running game, now Dak Prescott can play off of that run, doesn't have to have all that pressure on him, and does, bootlegs and getting rid of the football quickly and keeps defenses on their heels. That's what the whole offense is built around. It's to help Dak not have to be like, all right, all the pressure's on me. I have to throw. We can't run. We got to catch back up. We're losing. You know what I mean? All of that is when Dak Prescott plays his worst, and it's already shown its ugly head already. Then you couple that with the fact that the injuries that have plagued the defense. DeRon Bland, who's been out for the first half of the year, they've designated him to return today. Now, that just opens up the 21-day window until they have to make a decision whether he's activate him or whatever. But at least he's close. Is he going to play this week? We'll have to wait and see until Friday. But again, that defense is suffering. No Micah Parsons right now. DeMarcus Lawrence is injured. He's out. So this team is on the ropes right now. Yeah, and you look at the amount of points that they've given up. We talked about Washington with 115. Right. They've given up 121 points already.
Yep.
And because of part of it is because of injuries, but also they're not playing well. They have talent, but they're just not playing well. So you have the offense that can't get things moving on the ground, and they're struggling to put up points just throwing the football. And then on the defensive side, they're struggling. Yeah, there's some key players missing and all that, but they have talent, and they just can't figure it out on the defensive end. So to me, this is a team that is 3-2, could very easily go 500 and even below 500 at this point. And I don't see the same spark that the Cowboys once had. I don't see that same killer instinct, and because of that lack in the running game, this offense is every single week struggling to just throw the ball. So I think they're pretenders for me, honestly. I think that for the first time in a long time, I don't see the Cowboys as a playoff contender.
Right. And Brandon says right there, he says Cowboys are playoff pretenders, regular season contenders. And
nice.
Yeah, with this division the way it is, I can see that same narrative happening. And like you said, the injuries are key. Right now, you've got your two best pass rushers here on your team are out, and your next couple of games are the Detroit Lions. You have a bye week after that, but then you've got the 49ers, the Falcons, who are red hot, the Eagles, who is a division rival, is going to keep it close here, the Houston Texans, and then the Washington Commanders, and then you get the Commanders again later on, and so it's going to get tough in this middle round while these guys are kind of banged up. So you're going to kind of see what type of team that Dallas can be here, and like you said, struggling on the run game. Absolutely. So much that they've ran CeeDee Lamb so many times this year in the backfield. They're trying to get him to do something. If he only had the one breakout run the first time they did it and nothing since. People have already seen that same thing. You're doing that same play every single time. People are bored of it. They know what you're doing.
Right.
And then when that defense is bending and against the ropes here in the red zone, they're 31st in the red zone on scoring here. And that's when you bring up those points of people scoring on them. This is what happens. And when you don't have Micah Parsons here, DeMarcus Lawrence, things like that, you're going to struggle like that. So, and they've been prone to the run too. It wasn't only the Giants. I thought we were going to be able to run against them, a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago. And that was one team they were actually able to stop. But every team since really has just ran the ball all day on them, and the Cowboys are just one-dimensional.
Yeah.
So once that is, then you know that you pressure Dak Prescott, he's gonna make mistakes, and that's where you have what happened last week. And they barely edged one out there. It probably shouldn't have had that game.
And here's the thing: is I understand the Cowboys really like that Dowdle kid.
Rico Dowdle,
who's kind of taken over that starting role a little bit. Ezekiel Elliott is there, more of the pounder type of running back. But here's my thing: is they all said, "Oh, we couldn't afford to keep Tony Pollard," and you're right, they couldn't afford to keep him. But why didn't you bring in another cheaper option? You look at the free agents at running back right now. You could have given an opportunity to a guy like Marlon Mack, paid him very cheaply. He's only 28 years old, and Marlon Mack was pretty darn good when he was healthy in a Colt. Not too long ago. Recently was with the Cardinals, but still, is he healthy enough? Bring him in for a workout. There's other guys that have started for teams before. If you want to go the old route, you could bring in Melvin Gordon. See what he could do for you. Yeah. Latavius Murray. He's 31.
Yeah.
It's not like he's 36. He's 31. Still could do it. If you want to get older, you got Latavius Murray, who's 34. Right. Yeah. But a guy who started before. And obviously there's other guys down the list that you could kind of bring in that maybe are very young, didn't get an opportunity, but maybe you bring them in for a workout and maybe you become away impressed and you sign him. And look, Isaiah Spiller, a former Charger who never has gotten an opportunity, but he's only 23 years old.
Yeah, something.
I'm just saying,
I get it.
I understand you can't afford the big ticket items. But maybe you need to shop in the clearance section a little bit for the Cowboys. That's all, and try to spice up this running game that is lacking. You got to do something. You can't just sit there. Jerick McKinnon, for crying out loud, is a free agent. Like former Chief, he can still do things. So to me, this team, they're also not doing anything to help themselves. They complain about they couldn't get a running back. Well, bring in some of these guys, work them out at least, and see what you can do with them. And then when
they had Tony Pollard last year. Just keep him. Do something.
They couldn't keep him. They couldn't afford him. There's no way they could afford him. That's why they moved on.
Brian said it's almost time for Jerry to try new schemes and coverages.
I don't know. No, you definitely can't change shit like that.
What
you can call different plays, but you're not going to change your scheme in the middle of the season and try to have everybody learn a new scheme.
Right. That's why, I mean, look at the Jets, with Robert
You just
Saleh
can't
and
do
stuff
that.
like that. They're not going to do anything like that, even though we know, offense, there's a problem, but you're not going to go out and grab a brand new offensive coordinator and bring him in somehow. You're still going to just promote from within and things like that.
Real quick, there's an update on the injuries for the Cowboys, and it looks like they're getting healthier. So Tyler Guyton was a full participant. Their rookie starting tackle. Micah Parsons did not practice. So we still got to monitor that. Eric Kendricks, also their middle linebacker, did not practice. Deron Bland did practice in full. And Trayvon Diggs practiced in full. So most likely they're getting both their starting corners back. That's a huge positive for them. So maybe with getting a little healthier on defense, maybe they're going to stay in games a little longer, but you still got to score points. So the defense might get better, but the offense still hasn't been able to score points, so that might just be holding them back anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, so let's move on. We got two more teams we're going to cover here for the Contenders and Pretenders. Then we'll get up to our quick picks here for Week 6. All right, next up, last two teams. I've got the Atlanta Falcons here, Joe. The Atlanta Falcons. And again, I could have brought up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers too on this one, but I think Tampa's a really good team here. They kind of
Tampa's surging right now.
Yeah, and I think they had that game again against the Atlanta Falcons here. They had them, but I think they're going to be okay. So I'm not really worried about them. I don't know about you, but again, I think
I'm definitely not worried about them.
I'm worried about them. So I didn't think I needed to put them in here with Contenders and Pretenders. And then this one, we've thought a lot about the Falcons here. We're excited to see what they are going to bring this season. First couple weeks were a little iffy, Kirk Cousins getting banged up a little bit here too. And they were going to run the ball here with Bijan Robinson and really kind of work the ball that way. We would like to see the tight end get more involved though. Kyle Pitts get more involved in his offense. It was crazy too because we also saw a Darnell Mooney sighting last week too. He lit it up.
Well, Darnell Mooney's been their kind of go-to guy.
It's big for them.
He really has been amazing for the Atlanta Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
And he just it was the first time I feel like most of the fan bases that tuned in to watch that game in prime time. Like, oh, Darnell Mooney. Oh, yeah. Didn't he play for the Bears? Oh, holy smokes, this guy is good.
Right.
Like, they finally, a lot of people realize, he's got talent. Like, look at him go.
Right. Well, that's the difference too with a good quarterback too, because again, with when he was with Chicago and he was left to be that number one guy and then never kind of turned into that.
Yeah.
Then it must have been just again they never had a real quarterback here when you got Kirk Cousins.
When you had Justin Fields throwing the football only to DJ Moore at the time and ignoring Darnell Mooney pretty much. Like now he's got an opportunity with a really good quarterback who distributes the football to everybody. And look at the results. So Brandon said put some respect on his name. Absolutely right. Like, this is a guy that people should be wary of every single week because Drake London, as good as he is, now he has a counterpart. Now he has someone else where you can't double-team Drake London, as a receiver. Now you got to worry about Darnell Mooney on the opposite side. And, again, I feel like this offense can get even better. If they implement Kyle Pitts more into this offense, that dude is he's got God-gifted talent.
Yeah.
Like, as a guy who plays the tight end position, but he's more like a giant wide receiver than anything. So I think the more that he gets involved, and hopefully that keeps happening every single week, that this offense and the running game with Bijan and Tyler Algier, whoo, this team could be something special down the stretch. So, and we haven't even touched on their defense yet. Their defense is ready to go. Like they did despite the score against the Buccaneers, both defenses were having trouble stopping each other's offenses. So it's like I still feel like the Falcons have a pretty decent defense, a really good defense, and this is going to be one hell of a battle. Like with this division. When Carr gets back, we'll see what happens, how long he's going to be out. What's the record going to be when he does in fact come back? Are they going to be like 2-6 at that point or something like that? that, and if that's the case, who knows? They might be out of it because it'll be just too hard to come back and get into the divisional race. But the Falcons and the Buccaneers, it looks like this is it. This is going to be the matchup now. Both of them are going to be at each other's throats. So I can't wait for the next matchup when they face each other because it's going to be awesome. But the Falcons, like I really do, I like them coming into this season. I thought they could be maybe even a little bit of a dark horse with Kirk Cousins there as a quarterback. And right now they're 3-2. Their points against isn't great. It's 115 they've given up. And their points for isn't as good as I thought it was going to be at this point at 111 points. So I feel like the offense was struggling up to probably last week is when they kind of blew up, and maybe even a week before that is when you started to see something happening. So now that, and we mentioned how the Bengals start late offensively until they figure it out, and then all of a sudden they blow up, and so the Atlanta Falcons are kind of this same mold right now.
Right
now, all of a sudden it seems like they're finding their groove. They're figuring some things out. Kirk Cousins is becoming more confident and comfortable in this offense and with these weapons. So I like where they're headed now, because now it looks like their offense is starting to wake up a little bit, and that's going to only help the defense that they have. So I think that the Falcons, I'm going to include the Buccaneers too. They're both contenders.
Yeah, I think so too. And what's funny too is when I talked about the Kansas City Chiefs and how they're on like the positive side of the close games, and not playing good but pulling out victories.
Right.
The Atlanta Falcons are kind of in the other realm of they're playing well and just losing by just a few points. If you look at their average points, they're losing games by. Week 1, they lost by 3 points. Week 2, they lost by a point. The third week against the Chiefs, or they won actually by like a point. It's week 2, but the other loss against the Chiefs, they only lost by 3 points. So that was the only factor. So close games that could have gone either way, and they could potentially be 5-0 right now.
Right.
So they're winning the close battles. Sometimes they're losing some of them, and they're putting up the points. The next couple of weeks, they've got a couple of teams where I think they're easily beatable, then back to Tampa Bay, and they've got the Cowboys after that, and a couple others that's going to be a little tougher on the defensive side. And late in the stretch, it gets maybe a little bit easier for them in the back end. But it's going to be a tough battle for them. It's going to be a long road, but I think they have enough talent. And like you said, running the ball is the effective way here, but you have the receivers, I think, to get it done. But they need to open it up here for Kyle Pitts to really hit their stride and I think be what they really can be. Yeah. And I think the defense has opportunity to get better too as well. Right now you see him getting a few more turnovers, which is good, and that's positive for them. And I wasn't sure about Raheem Morris going into the season, but he showed me that I think that he can handle this job and do well here for this team. So
it does help when you have a quarterback like that too.
I hear you there too. Yeah, absolutely.
He never had a quarterback to that level.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's what they've been looking for a while.
Exactly. Like for Raheem Morris, even his career, like when he was a head coach of the Buccaneers, he just never had a guy like this. So I feel like I always thought that he was a good coach, just not in the right situation. So now I think he's found his groove here with the Atlanta Falcons, and I like to see what they can do this year.
All right, and my final
Brandon
team
says real quick.
What's up?
He goes, I won't give my opinion because y'all already know.
Yeah, we do already.
Yep.
Well, you can give your opinion anyways. We don't care. That's fine. All right. So finally here, the last team I think we can discuss here about, are they contenders or pretenders? The Denver Broncos here, Joe. Second-ranked defense in the league. Surging here, now getting a few victories. Back-to-back, stringing them up. 3 in a row. Sean, Payton here, has he fixed Bo Nix here? They're getting along, but then also not shouting back and forth on the sidelines. But, they say it's a fatherly son type of love here. But again, the defense, I think, is the key to this team and how they're able to perform and holding points against the other team. So moving forward, how's that going to pan out for them, especially as they will see some tougher, opponents in just a few weeks, but really their schedule is pretty good until the last 3 weeks of the season here.
Yeah, they're pretenders easily for me. Like, I've seen enough when I watched them play the Raiders. Like, they were lucky to win that game, and it really came down to Gardner Minshew throwing two turnovers, one for a score, which dramatically changed the whole momentum of that game, and then it just was over already. They got that win, but again, I saw a lot of negativity with that team. You know, they can't run that offense well. Bo Nix, as good as he is at times, he still continues to struggle. He's missed opportunities with Cortland Sutton, last week. He's look at what they've done as far as points scored. Only 96.
Yeah.
It's not even over 100 yet. Like, I know it's close, but it's not over 100. If you have a good offense, you should be well over 100 already. No problem. But the fact that they don't score a lot of points, and they're relying heavily on their defense to bail them out for pretty much the whole game. And they don't have a run game.
Right.
Like Javonte Williams, he hasn't done anything this year. He was seen as one of these, if for the fantasy players out there, he was seen as not only just a starter, but possibly like a comeback player in fantasy, and he's done nothing. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter who they put in the backfield. We saw, McLaughlin gets a little bit of time here and there, and again, they still continue to struggle there. So Broncos not being able to put up points, and they're relying heavily on their defense a lot. Yes, sometimes it's going to work out for them, but you can't win games if you can't put points on the board. So I feel like with the continued struggles with that, I think they're automatically pretenders for me.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same path you're talking about too. Defense has kept them in the games again. When the defense can hold a team to 9 points, 10 points, that's a big factor for you. That definitely helps out. But when you're 31st in the league and third downs, you can't convert there. Your quarterback right now, it has where is he? I think he has like 3 touchdowns and and 4 interceptions, a rating of 71, you know what I mean? Not putting it, in his hands to throw you and get you back into this game if it ends up being a shootout. They're running the ball, trying to with him too. He's your second leading rusher here on the team with 119 rushing yards. Mm-hmm. So that's partially a problem
not saying
here.
Much either.
And that doesn't doesn't to me look like a Sean Payton team, still, and what you've seen before with Drew Brees and things like that. It doesn't look like anything like that. So I couldn't say it's an actual success here for them.
Something about Sean Payton that I'm kind of realizing right now is when he took the job in New Orleans, that team was pretty much already put together. He came in, he brought in Drew Brees. Right?
Yeah.
But that team, he just needed to add a few pieces, and that team was like a juggernaut.
Right.
This is the first time where I've seen Sean Payton where he's had to rebuild a team from scratch. Find a quarterback. Get the offensive line taken care of. Where's all the weapons? They don't have them. Mm-hmm. And then defensively, they're good, right? But the offensive side, which is his specialty, it's still not up to par. So I kind of wonder, can Sean Payton rebuild an offense from scratch? Because so far, I'm not seeing the Sean Payton offense that we all know and love.
Right, and I had said this coming up into the season here. Will this be even something that we question moving forward with his legacy? When Sean Payton, what they've done, he's done with the Saints. Yeah, Drew Brees went to the Super Bowl. We know the onside kick, all this stuff here. But now you're going to a team where you have to rebuild it all. And if the magic isn't there again, you're not pulling it off. You don't look much better than what Nathaniel Hackett did in that one season. You know what I mean? You've been there for a few now, and you've had all these other excuses. Can't get along with Russell Wilson. Wilson moves on to Pittsburgh. You be careful what you wish for and things like that and how it looks. Because like I said, this could damage the way people look at you right now. We saw it even when Tom Brady left the Patriots and people dogging Belichick say, hey, it was all the success past was all on Tom Brady, and Belichick was one of the greatest, coaches of all time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's funny how the narratives could change just like that. So
Of course, they definitely can change.
But
for
again, some people jumping on the bandwagon, and then also people were, surprised, and some people are like, yeah, see, this is the team I thought. But there is a couple of tougher other teams they have to face moving forward. The Ravens, things like that. Atlanta Falcons, if they still play tough.
Real quick,
it'll be tough for them
to get that third win over the Raiders. The Raiders beat themselves in that game. They were on their way to handle this team, like really put a damper on them. It was 10-3, and they were going in for yet another score to make it 17-3.
Yeah.
And that could have made it to the point where, like, okay, well, now the Broncos just have to throw all the time, make them one-dimensional, and then it could have gotten real ugly really quick. But because of Minshew, the Minshew magic, man, gets two turnovers, one for a score. It brought the Broncos right back into contention, and then the Raiders were playing on their heels after that. So this is a team where I think as soon as they get down, I don't think they're going to be able to come back from it. So going forward, no matter who they play, I feel like it's always going to be a tough matchup for them.
All right, so
Life
there
changer.
you go. Yep. What do we got?
He said, I'm back. Had to go crack the whip a bit on some of the guys. Did y'all go over the Texans? Yes, we did go over the Texans a little bit.
A little bit. Again, I think they're obviously contenders, so I don't think there's much to talk about them. I think they're going to do well here.
They did
forward.
struggle in a couple of games up to so far, but I feel like it's just one of those, the bad days at the office type of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It has no reflection of like, oh, well, C.J. Stroud having a down year and all of a sudden or panic mode or, how did they lose to that team? It happens. It's any given Sunday sometimes. Sometimes you just don't play well. And whether it be the game plan didn't work out or the execution on the field, but the Texans, they are a legit team. They have a really good defense. They have a really good offense that even got better this year. And I'm excited because when Joe Mixon comes back, that offense was on another level when he was in the backfield. So pretty excited for them. They're 4-1 still. They could be very easily undefeated, but again, they let one of those games get away from them.
Yep, definitely. All right, so Joe, it's time for the picks here of the week. Competition's on. This is going to be a tough competition this year. I don't want to bring up the record that we have out right now. It's not very good, but I do have
500 guys.
Last year's record here, though. I'm going to pan to it. This is what we did last year: 178 and 105, and 169 and 114. All right, not too shabby. Very good. This year, or again, we're approaching 500, around there, hovering around there. Not a very good start. So we're already, almost halfway to those losses already. But hey, there's a lot of season left over to turn around. We can turn it around, and the competition is on. Loser has to drink a glass or a big football-shaped thing of liquor of your choice.
You're saying there's a chance.
Yes. So we'll see. There's a chance I can go down again this year, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But that will nowhere be as horrible as drinking what we drank here, that coffee and that mayonnaise.
Yeah, it was
it's
bad.
really starting to settle in my stomach now. I'm
bad
feeling a little
idea.
sour. But all right, here we go. We're going to run through these guys here. We talked about them last night in the Blindside Blitz, so this should be pretty easy here. San Francisco 49ers, Seattle Seahawks tomorrow night. Seattle, home of the 12th man. Seattle just doesn't look right to me right now, Joe. Again, Geno Smith making mistakes, getting pressure, not being able to get the ball to his stars here. And that defense, again, for the last couple of weeks, I think, has given up some points here. So San Francisco, last week, too, Brock Purdy, I think, a touchdown and a couple turnovers. He hasn't been as flawless, too, as he's been, and then we've known him, too. So a couple of rough patches here, but, missing, your weapons will do that a little bit to you here going forward. But a lot of it, again, is maybe, coaching again, have a big lead, fourth quarter lead, 10 points plus. You got to close them out. The defense has to hold it down and close these teams out. But I think San Francisco, they've had the better half of Seattle for a while now. I think this is a good team to bounce back against here. I like the 49ers in this one. What is Brian Blair says Niners. He says that. And
Life Changer says
says
Moonshine
Mayo.
Mayo.
Oh, gosh. Moonshine Mayo. That's the alcoholic drink. No, I don't think so.
No.
That's gross.
They don't make that, so
No,
we're
they
not
don't.
gonna do that.
I think vodka ends up being the alcohol choice a lot of times. Vodka and juice. But
Vodka, whiskey, you name it.
Oh yeah, we do a little whiskey too. Do some shots and stuff. So play along with us on that one too.
So,
that show. What do you got?
Biggest
Joe?
thing about this game too, like divisional rivals, obviously. These games usually go down to the wire. There's no really big blowouts, and I have to agree with you, Jim. I think Seattle, as a team offensively, has not played up to par in the past couple of weeks, and defensively, little lacking a little bit. Not being as powerful as they should be with the roster that they have. And yes, they're a little banged up too, because that always plays a part. The Niners are also, they're very familiar with the injuries department here. They're missing some players. Do they get some people back? They got George Kittle back last week. I got to look to see. I want to check real quick the injury report for the Niners, because see if they're getting anybody else back. And it seems like Travarius Ward is questionable because it's tomorrow night's game.
Yeah.
So if he's questionable, there's a chance he doesn't play, because it is like it's tomorrow. Obviously, their safety we mentioned yesterday. If you tuned into the Blindside Blitz, Talanoa Huafanga, he is going to be on IR. He's going to be out for several weeks, so they lose one of their key safeties on that defense. But other than that, it seems like they're ready to go. They're healthy. They're going to have Debo. They're going to have everybody else. Obviously not Christian McCaffrey yet. He's still working to get back. But that all being said, you look at Seattle, they've kind of have their injury woes as well. You look at Uchenna Nwosu, who's going to be ruled out. He's not going to play. Tyreek Woolen, one of their big-time corners, he's ruled out as well with an ankle injury. He's not going to play. Byron Murphy, their rookie D-tackle, he's not going to play. So this defense is going to be limping into this matchup tomorrow. And I got to say, just like you were saying how the offense wasn't really working out too well for Seattle, I think the Niners, they're going to end up winning this game. Mm-hmm. And then, guess what? They're tied in the division. They'll both be 3-3 if the Niners win. So I got the Niners in this one.
All right, here we go. Jacksonville Jaguars and the Chicago Bears in London. It's basically a home game for the Jags, but again, the way they've been playing right now, if they didn't pull off a victory last week, I think Doug Peterson potentially could have been fired.
He would have been fired 100%.
His seat's definitely been very warm. For a bit here.
Yeah.
This one's a tough one for me because
it is tough. It's not easy.
Jacksonville, are they kind of turning around? They do play better in London. It seems like out of anywhere.
That is
their
where
they
home.
do get a victory here. They just step up here and get the fans going here, and they do pull out a victory here in London. But Chicago, again, I think just have a better defense right now, and I think the offense will do just enough here with the Jacksonville Jaguars and them struggling a little bit on offense here. I think I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears here to take the victory.
Yeah, I'm not a big proponent for the Bears. I don't think their offense is going to play real well. I had to get that out of the way.
There you
go. But
don't blow chunks of the mayonnaise here. I'm holding back some feelings.
But anyway, in a nutshell, I don't think their offense is going to do enough. Their defense is going to definitely keep them in the game. I feel like this is going to be a very tight game. It's going to be their alternative home. They've been dubbed as London being the home field of the Jaguars because they're always playing over there. I got the Jaguars in this one, honestly. I think I finally saw a little bit of a spark in their offense, and I think that they're going to keep continuing this. And now that they have guys like Tank Bugsby, who's been crazy productive as a running back for them, I feel like he might have even stolen the starting spot over Travis Etienne. We'll see if that happens Sunday morning. But I like what the Jaguars got going right now. I know it's only been 1 week of success, but they're playing a Bears team that I feel like they could stunt them on offense enough to be able to have opportunity to win the game in the end. I got Jaguars.
All right, the Arizona Cardinals here just snuck out a victory against the San Francisco 49ers. Like we said, the San Francisco 49ers had them. They let them off the hook. Yeah, there you go. But they go into Green Bay here. It's always tough to play in Green Bay. I think now Jordan Love's back. I think knocks a little more of that rust off. I think he's going to be playing better. And Green Bay always plays better here at home. I think, Arizona, I'm surprised on how their offense has been playing here. But I think they're going to keep it competitive, but I'm going to side with the Green Bay Packers at home.
Yeah, and that's the surprising thing is the Cardinals keep every game competitive. Their offense is playing pretty well, and their defense, shockingly, is playing pretty decent football. So I like I think this matchup is going to be tough for both teams, but the Packers being at home, Jordan Love, I feel like now that he's kind of dusted the rust off, like you said, and he's going to continue to get the ball to guys like Jaden Reed, who had a tremendous week last week, and Tucker Kraft. Who knew that they actually have a legit tight end that they can use? Tucker Kraft had a big day too. I look for that to continue with Josh Jacobs in the backfield. I think the Packers get the win against the Cardinals.
Brian Blair says, watch a lot of Jags down here. The whole team feels off center. Bears. He's going with the Bears too as well.
The Bears are off center too.
And yeah.
I think they're both kind of the same.
But I mean, that's what I mean. When you're hearing it from the coach, it's like, oh, we suck, and then also the quarterback says, oh, we're not very good. I mean, that's not a good sign for things. But who knows? Again, when you're that bad, there's only one direction you could go, though, up, right, Joe?
They did that last week, too.
Yep, there you go. All right, so now we've got the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans here. Again, Titans just had a few different games there that just went the wrong way because of mainly Will Levis, and that's partially even part that started the whole coffee thing. Him doing that dumb fall. Just take the sack at this point, man. Take the damn sack instead of throwing from an inch from the ground off your legs and your knees and just giving up, a fumble or an interception. I mean, just dumb plays back to back. Eliminate those turnovers here. Just play a smart, mistake-free game. Run the ball. Tony Pollard too. Get that going for you. Because you've got a pretty good defense too on top of that. Indianapolis, they're up and down. Anthony Richards, he's up and down. Had to put Joe Flacco in a little bit here too the last week or so. So Indianapolis is struggling right now. So this is the time for the Tennessee Titans to come in and take care of business here against the Colts here. They've had the bye week. Hopefully in that bye week they set some things straight. I think they do play better in Tennessee here, so I think they can pull out a victory here. I like the Titans.
Yeah, for the Colts, really the defense is the only thing been struggling. Their offense was crazy. When they played the Jaguars last week, they scored over 30 points with Joe Flacco. And with Anthony Richardson and his injury status right now, he had a limited participation today. He has the same injury as Derek Carr. So if I'm the Colts, I'm not rushing him back. You've already seen he's struggling anyway. And Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco gives you a better opportunity to win games. He even puts up crazy points. So why would you disrupt that right now? Rest Anthony Richardson. Make sure he's 100% healthy before you even think about bringing him back. So if he's practicing limited and it's never going to be full, rest him again. Let Flacco play. But this is another team that's also banged up. Guys like Jonathan Taylor didn't practice today. Trey Sermon, the backup running back, didn't practice. Josh Downs didn't practice. He's got a toe issue. Michael Pittman Jr., their number one option at wide receiver, is expected to miss multiple weeks because of a back injury that he's trying to get over. So, again, this is a team that is very banged up. And if Flacco is in as starter, it definitely gives them a better chance, for sure. To get a win. But I just feel like, the Titans, they're healthier, and you mentioned, Jim, Will Levis, you're right. Don't make the critical mistake. Just don't turn the ball over. If he doesn't turn the ball over, obviously there's other variables that come into play. But anyway, if Will Levis kind of plays more of a game managing role and doesn't do anything crazy or try to make a play when he just shouldn't, I think the Titans get the win here at home, and maybe they turn their trajectory around here.
Yeah, Life Changer says he's got the Bears too. They got get freebies on hip drop tackles. He says, I got the Titans in this game. I watch another podcast that involves a fan from each member of the AFC South. How about that? I just enjoy watching the Colts fans cry. He's laughing my ass off. Nice. He's a grown man, not a child. I'm not that cruel. There you go. I like that. That's awesome. Yeah, that's interesting too. How about that, guys? On a podcast that have fans from each.
I've seen that before. Like all the divisions, I feel like are doing that now.
Yeah,
where they have an influencer for each team, and they get together and they even talk about the matchups against each other. Yeah. So, like, I think the Raiders and Broncos, they had an influencer from the Raiders, and then they had a guy from the Broncos, and they had their own show together talking about strengths, weaknesses of each other's teams, and it is a pretty cool take, actually.
All right, next we've got the Houston Texans and the New England Patriots. Drake May to get the start here this week because, again, Jacoby Brissett hasn't really done anything. He hasn't done anything for this team. Right. New England's struggling. Houston now, again, on the trajectory to move forward here. They're running on all cylinders. I think they're going to be able to easily handle this game, but I am interested to see how Drake May performs in this game and see what he does against a tough defense here and the Houston Texans.
Yeah, the Texans, again, they're another team that's coming in a little bit beat up. Kenyon Green didn't practice today. Laramie Tunsil, Titus Howard. That's over half their offensive line right there. Hopefully those guys come back and they're able to play. Jimmy Ward didn't practice, so they're missing some players. And then Nico Collins, the number one receiver in the NFL right now, in terms of stats and what have you, he's going on IR.
Yep.
He's going to be out for at least the next 4 weeks. Oh, my God, who they turn to? I don't know. Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, who's healthy now. Like, they have this kid, Xavier Hutchinson, who kind of showed something last week. And, of course, they got old man Robert Woods on the roster, too.
Bobby Trees.
But I don't think he's going to be too much of a factor. But that all being said, we're still waiting to see if Joe Mixon comes back this week. He didn't practice today. Maybe that changes in the next couple of days. But again, I don't think they need too much help. This is a New England Patriots team that is struggling. They're looking for a spark. Drake May gets the call. I feel like their defense for the Patriots can keep them in this game. But is it going to be enough to even kind of give Drake May enough opportunity to maybe put some points on the board? I think the Texans are just all around too good. The Texans end up getting the W.
All right, Tampa Bay goes into New Orleans here to face off against the Saints. Derek Carr, like you said, has the injury. He's going to be gone. So Spencer Rattler is in. This is another quarterback that I have definitely voiced my disdain for many times. I was on the fence on Bo Nix watching, but I made a decision, said that, I just don't think he's it, though. I don't think he's very good. Spencer Rattler, I don't like anything about him. Like, I've just watched it. I just don't like him at all. So
really,
yeah. I just don't think I don't think he has it. I don't think he has it. You know what I mean? To be a starter in the league. But that being said, with this, it's going to be tough because, again, it's a divisional game. And he's going to get his first start, and it's going to be a Tampa Bay team who it's got to have blood in their mouth right now after losing that game. They've got to be really disgruntled about that. They had the game. It was locked up. After that INT with Levante David, like, dude, you've got a couple minutes left. Just burn it out, man. Ride it out.
Burn out as much as you can, though.
Come on. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think
was
Baker
Kyle
Mayfield's
Shanahan
going
there?
to get I know, right? Baker Mayfield's going to get these guys right here. You've got them completely healthy, too. All these wide receivers here on top of it. I like Tampa Bay in this game. It's going to be rough here for New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little bit different take on Spencer Rattler. I definitely think he could become a good starter in this league. But he's one of those quarterbacks that you definitely can't rush out there. He's going to need some development. It's going to take a year or two for him and to get acclimated for the next level. But this is a guy who, before he got into trouble in college, was touted as a number one quarterback coming out. And then when trouble hit, He had to go through the necessary channels, work his way back onto another team, and he was very successful in college football when he got back to it. But I do think that this kid has something. He definitely has accuracy. He has the smarts. But I don't think this is his time. I think it's way too early.
Yeah,
his rookie year, he's not meant to see the field. Derek Carr was supposed to be the guy to play this game and everyone after that. So I think with that, it gives the Saints offense a huge disadvantage because if anybody's paid attention to the Saints, their first 2 weeks, they were amazing offensively because they threw the ball, they mixed in the run, they kept every team unbalanced. And then the last few weeks, they've gone to basically a run-heavy offense, which just isn't working. And then when it comes time to be third and long, whatever, now you got to throw. Defenses know that, and they capitalize against you. They've been struggling since then. And now you're going to have a rookie quarterback come in here and what? Do the same thing that Carr was doing, and you continue to struggle, hand the ball off. But here's the difference. You got a rookie quarterback throwing the football when you need to. I just feel like he's going to make a lot of mistakes, especially in his rookie year, and it's not going to look good. Hopefully they have a little bit of a different game plan than what we're expecting, but the Buccaneers, they are red hot right now. Offensively, the defense is a really good defense, so I got the Buccaneers in this one.
Yep. Brian says Tampa, but we need Winfield Jr. back badly.
I don't think you need to worry about it this week because you got a rookie quarterback to deal with. Yeah, right. You might be all right.
Yeah, you're all right this week. Yeah, right. The Cleveland Browns here now against the Philadelphia Eagles. Browns offensively injured, at the offensive line. Deshaun Watson doesn't look very good either. Can't run the ball effectively. What else, Joe? I mean, even the defense that's been pretty good.
That offense
really good last year, giving up some points too this year, not looking like the same defense. But then on the other hand, Philadelphia Eagles don't look like the same team either. Jalen Hurts, turning the ball over left and right too, and not looking like he has in the past, to where some of these skeptics now are coming out now against Sirianni and saying that he's got the hot seat, and Jalen Hurts, they ride and die together, baby, and they're all going down on this sinking ship together. So all the haters of Jalen Hurts are back out, ready to shun him right out of the league here. And, it's a little different. They've got a lot of talent on there, but they have been banged up. A.J. Brown, hasn't been there. So, he comes back, I think, this week. So that'll be big
Devonta
for
Smith
them.
Comes back.
Devonta Smith,
A.J.
exactly.
Brown
You
comes
get your
back.
weapons. So I think it's perfect timing for them. It's early on in the season still here. I think this division's going to be tight. So they have opportunities to get back. And this Cleveland team, though, I think is just in disarray right now in scrambling. So I think Philadelphia has them right for the pick, and I like the Eagles here at home.
Help is on the way, dear.
Help is on the way.
Because here's the deal is Jack Conklin, who's been missing from the lineup since the beginning of the season, he's due to come back. He practiced limited. Looks like he'll make his debut this season. Jedrick Wills, who also was another the left tackle who was injured early in the season, it looks like he's practicing. It looks like he'll be ready to go. So they might actually have starting bookend tackles for the first time this year, which is a good positive note for them. The only negative thing, though, is Myles Garrett didn't practice. It looks like he's taking it easy on that Achilles injury that he has. And what are you going to get out of Myles Garrett if you continue to play him? I wonder if you continue to play him, even though you're rehabbing every week, is there going to be a point in time where like he's doing too much on the field and aggravates it and now done for the year? We all know that you're struggling, but you definitely don't want a key piece like him dropping. And then everybody wants to know if Nick Chubb is going to return this week. Well, he's limited participant. He practiced, but not in full yet. So if by Friday, he has to have put in a full practice either Thursday or Friday to consider him a go. But right now, it looks like they're just taking it slow with him. And I feel like even if he does get the go-ahead, he's going to be limited on reps out there. So take that like a grain of salt for Cleveland. The Eagles, they're a team that is much healthier, and they've already coming off a bye week. So to me, this is going to be one of those things where could this be like the perfect storm for the Eagles? because you've rested, you're getting your guys healthy, and now you're playing an opponent that's been struggling for weeks. Eagles got this one.
All right, next up, we've got the Washington Commanders and the Baltimore Ravens. This is going to be a big game
This
here
is gonna
this
be
week.
awesome.
A lot of people saying the game of the week here, the way the Washington Commanders have been going offensively.
Right.
Baltimore getting things back together after going 0-2, seemed to be riding the ship here early. That defense really was a big part of it, too, is because early on they seemed a little bit making some mistakes here, but now they've tightened it up here. In Baltimore, they decided to finally open up and let Derrick Henry run. You know, that is the key. You bring this guy in. It was a shame to have them not do anything with him the first 2 weeks. And then once they did, unleash the beast, there you go. I mean, he's a big focal point of the team. They can ride through him, and then that way you take some of that pressure off of Lamar Jackson so he doesn't have to do everything with his legs as well. This is going to be a good game, but I think when it all comes down to it, you're going to get to see these two quarterbacks make some really fun plays on the field. It's going to be great to watch, but ultimately, Baltimore has a better defense. You know what I mean? And they have the history of the coach there, too, who's been there, the longevity, the experience. I think that's going to be key here. I like the Baltimore Ravens at home.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be an amazing matchup, especially offensively. Now, you mentioned defense. Defense is where it's lopsided. Ravens are a very aggressive defense. They're a very good defense. The Commanders, even though they've been playing better because their offense is now putting up points, giving them rest on the sidelines and all that, they are not up to the standards that the Ravens are. So I feel like that's the disadvantage part. That's where the Ravens kind of take advantage of them. In Baltimore, very difficult place to play. Jaden Daniels, this is going to be a big-time test for him as a quarterback and a big-time test for this team to kind of really see where they stand. Because typically, we've seen in the recent history where NFC teams come to play AFC teams and the AFC teams always win. Could they change the tide here and possibly steal a win in Baltimore? That'll be something to see. If they do so, it'll be a tremendous shock to everybody throughout the NFL and saying, okay, we're going to crown the Commanders as legit contenders now. But I think that this is going to be a very tough matchup. I'm going to go with the home team in this because, again, we talked about defense. It's all about defense. Defense wins games. Defense wins championships. And the Ravens have one. Ravens get the win.
All right, next up, we've got the Los Angeles Chargers and the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos, we had talked about earlier on, whether they're contender or pretender. They've been basically standing behind that defense and holding people to limited points. One thing we know about the Chargers, too, though, big run-first type of team, running attack, but that's not exactly the best way to pull out victories here. And with Justin Herbert, you said it in the preseason before this got started, this type of offense doesn't really fit what, Justin Herbert has for, talent-wise. He was going to be limited here, and you see the difference here. He hasn't put up the numbers that he's been used to. Got a little banged up earlier on in the season. They're coming off of a bye week. How are they going to perform? Hopefully, they've gotten the ship rightened out here. You can get this offense going and get Justin Herbert more involved, but it's going against a tough divisional rival here in this tough defense. On the other side, again, Bo Nix hasn't been very good either. So is this defense going to overpower this Chargers team? That'll be the whole storyline behind this game, Joe.
Brian Blair comes in and says, hot take item here.
Hot take.
First
Hot
tie,
take, everybody.
First tie of the season. He's calling it.
Oh, first tie of the season?
Yeah, first tie.
No.
That's what he's saying. He's calling it out.
First tie.
I like it.
Okay.
But I don't think it could be. I mean, honestly, it kind of makes sense because these two division rivals, it's usually right down to the wire. And who knows what the outcome's going to be in this one, just like many others. The other thing that I have to say, too, is that the Chargers, this is like a perfect opponent to go up against. This is one of even though their defense is good, they're not that good against the run. And the Chargers love to run. With this really good offensive line of theirs, they might be able to have their way with Denver a little bit. And they might not even have to throw the football too often because why do that as long as you can establish this run game? So Herbert, who is healthier now, they said that they're going to kind of heavily tape his ankle even though he's feeling better, they still, obviously are going to take precautions there to kind of keep him upright and not get him re-injured for sure. But I like the defense. The only thing is kind of what's concerning me about the Chargers side is the fact that they're coming in, even though they had a bye week, they're coming in injured. They don't have Bosa. It's going to be basically Khalil Mack, the only one that's going to create any kind of major pressure. Although that Puna Ford character, he's a menace. Like he's really getting after it and playing really well this season for the Chargers. So maybe he makes a few plays here, but again, they are going to be just fine. They're a lot healthier now than they were a couple weeks ago. I like the Chargers in this one. I talked about how the Broncos offense is still stagnant a little bit, and I feel like it continues in this matchup, giving ample opportunity for the Chargers to kind of run and chew up clock and score that way. So I'm going with the Chargers.
Yeah, it's going to be tough here. Like you said, I see the matchups here. It's going to be difficult, but with the Chargers here, they beat the Raiders and the Panthers, not exactly great teams. And then when it came down to Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Chiefs, or the Kansas City Chiefs, who have really good defenses at this point,
well,
they weren't able to put
up.
Well, they're both top 5, top 6. The Chiefs are in the top 10 of defenses here, but in Denver Broncos, that's what I mean here in the top spot. It's going to be tough for them to put up points here because, again, they put up 10 in those last 2 games. But hopefully they can turn around for them. But I'm going to go with the Broncos here at home. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers now and the Las Vegas Raiders. Steelers, Brian Blair actually is a Steelers fan, but since moving to Tampa, because he doesn't get a chance to see them,
has adopted the Buccaneer way.
The Buccaneer way.
All right.
And looking for him, Tampa, they ended up getting Tom Brady eventually, and they won the Super Bowl since he's been down there. So he's a happy man. How about that? I guess
so, right?
What a way to do it. You're able to switch teams because of locales.
Yeah, how did
and you see a championship just like that.
That's amazing how that worked out.
Isn't it?
Like the quarterback that you dreaded facing as if you're the Steelers and however far you got, and then every time you played Tom Brady,
yes,
and then you move and Tom Brady follows Brian Blair. I wonder if he was just keeping tabs on Brian to see where he was moving to,
perhaps
for his next destination to play.
Perhaps. Yes, but again, he had to. It was very short time, but he also had to deal with Jameis Winston for that short period.
Oh God, that's just terrible. I'm so sorry, Brian. That was horrible.
Right, but he's stuck through it though.
I'm actually sorry that the Cleveland Browns fans that they got to put up with him on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Like he's just terrible. Why would anybody sign that guy?
Yeah, I don't know. All right. So anyways, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas. Again, a lot of stuff going on there. A lot of storylines out of there. You got Devontae Adams again wanting out. Today we talked about it earlier. I think off the show. Antonio Pierce coming out saying, "Oh, he's a Raider. We're gonna, he's gonna be once he's completely healthy, he's gonna be out there playing." And also the ups and downs with the quarterback situation. We talked about this in the offseason, and then continuously week to week with this whole thing. And he said that, Aiden O'Connell's been playing, with second team, this and that, and he's looking for things in practice that's going to create a spark that says, hey, this guy's ready to take the leadership role here from this team, but he hasn't, so he's sticking with Gardner Minshew no matter what. And we think it was a big mistake all around. He was the starter for the second half of last season, started to grow with this team, and you stunt his growth by putting him on the sidelines to put Gardner Minshew in. And we know what Gardner Minshew is already. He's up and down, makes some plays with his legs, but he'll also kill you a lot of times on that whole thing. At least see what you got with Aiden O'Connell. Let's see him build something with this team. And now finally he's making the change after, I think he's getting a little heat right now. And I don't think exactly Antonio Pierce, with all the different things going on right now, I don't think his job is even specifically safe right now at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the only good thing is that he still continues to have the backing of not only just the staff, but also the players. The media might, lead you to believe otherwise, but from a lot of people that have been talking around the facility, that he's still legit. He's still the guy. As far as the quarterback situation goes, this is something that we pleaded with the Raiders before the season started. Like, please don't make a bad decision again. And they did. They started Gardner Minshew. You've seen him struggle so far up to this point, turning the ball over, playing absolutely terrible football as a quarterback, and now it's finally, okay, now we're going to make a change. Well, you should have done that earlier. Aiden O'Connell, here he comes. I feel like he gives the Raiders the best chance to win any game because he doesn't hold on to the football. Very quick, decides, gets rid of the ball. And I think that's going to bode well for the Raiders' offense for once. Even though they're playing a very tough defense against the Steelers, honestly, the only thing that you're going to have to do, and this is something that the Raiders have been doing, is playing this big personnel, 12-team personnel, where you got 2 tight ends out there blocking these edges, chipping these DNs, and you're going to have to do that against Herbig and TJ Watt on the other side. You're going to have to chip these guys every single play, because if you don't and you let these guys run free, they're going to create havoc in the backfield. They're going to get after your quarterback. So hopefully they got a good game plan going up against them. And then the Steelers, their offense. Are you kidding me? It sounds like they're going to stick with Justin Fields, even though Russell Wilson is healthy and ready to go. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. This is a guy who's continued to struggle week in and week out. He's not the reason at all that they're putting any kind of points on the board. I mean, obviously, like, his running is helping the team from time to time to get first downs and whatnot.
Right.
But when it comes down to passing the ball, when you're down in the game and you need to throw the ball to get back, he can't do it. He's already shown us this. Yeah. So because they've won in such a small margin against teams, they have a good record.
Right.
But this offense, I feel like, would run way better with Russell Wilson, a guy who can actually make the throws, actually anticipate, and get rid of the ball. So I think the Steelers, this is at their worst with staying with Fields. He doesn't give you the best option to win games. He doesn't. We've seen it already. Steeler fans know that. Yeah. They've watched the games. Russell Wilson gives them the ample. If Russell Wilson was in this game, I'm going Steelers.
Right.
But the fact that Fields is in there, I can't trust the guy. Yep. He's giving me too much ammo for it. So I like Aiden O'Connell starting. Going to get the first team reps. The Raiders come in, even though they're without Christian Wilkins. He's done for the year. Mm-hmm. I still feel like the Raiders kind of get it done at home, where Aiden O'Connell already has a small history of playing extremely good football at home. So I'm going with the Raiders in this one.
All right, Brian brings up the point that he said it was a legit way to switch here, moving to Tampa. Yeah, I think so too. If you can't watch your team, and there you go, there's the local things, especially with the way NFL's blacking out certain games.
Oh yeah, that's
like
crazy too.
Yeah, might as well,
I
right?
Get it.
Life Changer says, I got Pitt. Raiders seems like they still trying to find their identity. Plus, they just lost their big free agent signing, Wilkins. Yep, there you go.
I'm not worried about that, though.
Yeah, and Joe, I said this on the Blindside Blitz last night. You know, we were talking about it. They're winning despite Justin Fields. I'm watching that game last week, and you could see he held them back. When he's standing in shotgun and dropping back another 5 to 10 yards after that. Even his dropbacks are way too far, so that actually puts that in a better angle for the edge rushers to get at you. So that where he has to take off running and scrambling and doing those runs, like you said, right. When he's eyeing the ball and scanning the field, he's not getting the right read there. He's going to the guy that's potentially double covered on the next level instead of underneath. That could be a guy wide open that he's missing. Just not seeing the reads there and who he needs addition to. And by the time it's too late, he takes off running. Right. Those mistakes. And what we know is that Russell Wilson, when the season was going to start, he was named the starter. But again, a nagging calf injury kept him on the sidelines. Pittsburgh started Justin Fields. They ended up winning again because they are tough defense, and they said, well, let's see how far we can keep this going and pull out some victories here until we can get Russell completely healthy. If we can pull this off and Russell comes back healthy, plug him in and make it work, that's perfect, because that's all the backup job is supposed to be. But this whole thing now with Mike Tomlin saying, hey, it'd be wrong to take out Justin Fields now. How do you figure? How do you figure, and why do you care about this kid's feelings even right now here? You knew that when you brought him in, you're only going to get, the trade was for peanuts. You had nothing to really offer in that whole thing. You bring Russell Wilson in because you knew he was going to be your starter, and he played better last year to earn that right. Now he's healthy. You told him he was going to be a starter. You make the switch. You put it in. Yes, you finally have your first loss with Justin Fields. There you go. So you got your answer now. Put Russell Wilson in with this defense, and it makes a difference. Despite that, though, with this game, Vegas has wronged me so many different times here. And again, I'm with Life Changer, and their identity, I don't know what it is. And again, in their running game, struggling too on top of it. I think just Pittsburgh's defense is good and better and good enough to help secure this victory here against the Vegas Raiders. I'm going to go with the Steelers. All right, next up, we've got the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of people think that Baltimore-Washington game is game of the week, but I really like this one. I'm really intrigued this one. Maybe, I like the NFC matchup here. The Lions coming in, 3-1. Dallas, roaring back now. They're at 3-2, but again, they have their faults. They don't have their pass rushers there, so they're a little bit banged up on that front defensive line. And the Lions seems like, again, they found their groove again. They're moving. This offense is outstanding. You've even got Amon-Ra St. Brown throwing touchdowns even to Jared Goff and stuff on trick plays. I like it. I like what this team's doing with, Jahmyr Gibbs too in the backfield on top of it. There's so many weapons, so many ways that they can kill you, and this defense is finally getting better here too. I like the Detroit Lions here to beat the Dallas Cowboys here in Big D.
Yeah, and that defense for the Cowboys is getting healthier, which I before I saw the injury report, I was like all in on the Lions. But now when you get back to your starting corners, that really is going to help. Now, obviously, you don't have Micah Parsons, at least not right now. We're in the middle of the week. Maybe that changes, but man, that's going to pay huge dividends for the Cowboys, at least defensively. Offensively, we already mentioned how they're still struggling. The Lions are not struggling on offense at all.
No.
And you mentioned about weapons. We got to give some credit to David Montgomery.
Yeah, right.
Like, that dude is a man's man as a running back. Like, he is, dude, you cannot bring him back. The first tackler does never bring this guy down.
Nope.
Like, he runs through people. He can make you miss. Like, he does everything extremely well. And you pair him up with Jahmyr Gibbs, woo! You got one hell of a duo there. So they're not struggling on offense. Defensively, they are better. I don't think they're where they want to be yet, but they definitely a better team defensively than a year ago. So I think the Lions actually go into Dallas, and also I agree with you, Jim. Like, I think they're going to win too.
I'm happy when I'm playing.
Nice.
I am
Yes,
very
absolutely.
happy when I'm playing.
Yes,
That's right.
yes. Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. Again, Carolina, they look a lot better with Andy Dalton. See what happens
Please
even when
don't.
you have,
All I
a
have to
real
say
quarterback there. But what?
Please don't disappoint us, Atlanta. We talked
Yeah, I
a lot.
know.
We hyped you up big time
Yes.
in this episode. Do not disappoint us in this
Yeah.
matchup.
Don't lay an egg on this one. Don't have this be that trap game. Please don't. Don't do this. Don't do this. I know it's a divisional game, a divisional
Right.
rival or whatever. Don't do this to us. That's exactly right. Atlanta, I think they are running on all cylinders. They get that victory in a tough one last week. Kirk Cousins looks good. I like the Atlanta Falcons in this one. Not much to say, I think, in this one. Yes, like I said, Carolina looks better under Andy Dalton stuff, but we already know they're not really a contender or anything right now. Atlanta should be able to handle this game.
Yeah, whether it be in Carolina or Atlanta, I think the Falcons win this. And how about our boy Captain Kirk last week?
Yes.
Over 500 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. It was insane.
Yeah.
He just went crazy. Now, you got all that confidence built up. Now you got momentum built up. And this is a team that you should take care of. Take care of it.
Take care of it.
Don't lay down for this team. Don't play down to this team. You're better than them.
Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Come on.
Let's get Kyle Pitts at least 10 targets.
Yes.
Can we do that?
Something.
Like, this guy deserves it. I just don't see another way where the Panthers have a shot to win this game. They shouldn't. They really shouldn't. So I got the Falcons in a win here for sure.
All right, here we go. Cincinnati Bengals and New York Football Giants here, 8:20. They're on prime time here, Sunday Night Football. So that's scary because now I get to see my Giants here in prime time. Cincinnati, again, if their defense was good, they'd be back in some of this here. They're looking at the back door of all this stuff.
Back door.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know, right? But Cincy, 1-4. 1-4, and I said it. They start off slow, so I wasn't surprised about the slow start.
Yeah.
But with missing some of the guys on defense here, again, not having them, this defense isn't as good, that they were in the past. And you could see it here. The offense was slow. Now they're starting to move. But when you're putting up 20, 30 points and your defense is giving up 30, 40 points, you're not going to win. You know what I mean? And this is what we're looking at with the Cincinnati Bengals here. But fortunately for them, the Giants don't usually put up 30 points or anything like that against anybody. They are luckily able to do something like that last week, but that's like, it was a random sighting here, a random thing that happened. I was surprised against a Seattle team here that I thought was going to be able to handle the Giants without Malik Neighbors, without Devin Singletary here. I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked here. But here we go. Giants primetime at home. The defense for the Giants, surprisingly for me, again, getting pressures, getting multiple sacks, 6, last week, they're looking good. Brian Burns, coming into his own here now, finally here with this team melding to see what he looked like, back when he was with the Carolina Panthers. But that I think he will get in the backfield against the Cincinnati offensive line too. I mean, because they're not exactly keeping Joe Burrow upright as well either. And Cincinnati struggling not having Joe Mixon back there in the backfield either. So they're very one-dimensional. But that being said, with this, it is the Giants. I think they've got a tough hill to battle here in Cincinnati. I'd like to see them put up a fight here, but I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals on this one.
Hey, I mean, the Bengals here, so their defense hasn't been as stout as it once was, and they're still trying to work on those things. Mike Hilton, the nickel corner for the Bengals, called a team meeting only.
Team meeting, everybody.
For the defense. Just the defense.
That's right.
Because, we're playing like shit, and we need to step up, guys. So now's the time. We got to do it. And he probably said that, too. Usually when you have these meetings, it's more like a wake up call, kind of like rah, like let's wake up, let's execute all that kind of jazz. Mm-hmm. But how far does a team meeting really go? You got to still execute it on the football field, and nobody's done that better than Trey Hendrickson. That dude is a one-man wrecking crew. And then opposite him was Sam Hubbard. I feel like their D-line is really good. That doesn't really worry me. Their linebackers are decent. It's their secondary that scares the hell out of me. That's the biggest weakness of them. Now, Malik Neighbors could have a field day. He could have a really big game. I feel like this could potentially be a shootout, honestly. Both defenses have really good D-lines. And that's going to kind of be the deciding factor, really, for both teams. Who can slow down each other's D-line more to give your offense more opportunity to score? So if that happens, I mean, we could potentially see Malik Neighbors having 2-3 touchdown game. We could see Jamar Chase going crazy. T. Higgins maybe gets involved. So that all being said, I like how the Bengals are playing offensively, especially how red hot they are. Now they've finally opened up the can of worms here. And it's just a matter of defense. Giants, I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up with the points, and I think that's why the Bengals get the win.
All right, finally here now on Monday Night Football, the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. How would the Jets look now underneath their defensive coordinator, who is now the interim head
Jeff
coach?
Jeff
Ulbrich, yep. So we know the difference here with this team, what's the struggles are. It's the offense. Nathaniel Hackett, very bland. Again, that was
boring.
one of those things watching that game, too. It's like It's like I was watching, the Green Bay Packers from like 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, let's just pull a run over here, just right down the middle here. You know, when they know that's what I'm going to do, like nothing flipping it with the times like you're used to seeing. Even when Aaron Rodgers plays with Matt LaFleur, I would have liked something, especially when you got like Breece Hall and things like that back there. You've got weapons all around. Do something, you know what I mean? And it's been very just bland here on this offensive side here for them. And then Aaron Rodgers on top of it too. No matter how much he wants to even point blame at some of these other guys and things like that, and give you the shrug the shoulders, the low like all this, and just that blank stare that you see him on the sidelines doing. That's making memes all over the place. He's got to do better. You know what I mean? And this is the thing that you had said before the season started with him not showing up to the voluntary practice. You got to get there.
No, mandatory. It was training
even
camp.
the mandatory too. Yeah, on top of that, yes. You got to get in connection with these guys, with your receivers, stuff like that. And right now, he's not only Allen Lazard. And let's be real, Allen Lazard hasn't been a threat to anybody ever. You know what I mean? He had some times here at Green Bay, which he did okay, but come on now. He can't be your number one target. You've got Garrett Wilson. You've got this guy. You've got Conklin here. You've got weapons. You know what I mean? Do something here with it. The defense has played well, but, I think they're going to be able to handle their own here. They're going to keep them in this game. Buffalo, though, on a losing skid right here, this is going to be a tough test for them, though, and see what they can do here with the lack of weapons here on the offensive side of their own. Brian Blair says, amazing that this could be a get healthy game for Buffalo.
I know, right? It's for both teams, too. I just checked the injury report as of today. They're both pretty healthy coming into this matchup, so no excuses for either team. Like, you got to make it work. And you mentioned weapons, Jim. Mike Williams. Where the hell's this guy been?
Yeah.
Like,
I think he had one catch last week.
I understand that they were bringing him back slowly because of his injury that he sustained last year, coming back from that ACL and all that. But, dude, it's time to take the training wheels off and really see what you have in Mike Williams. Allen Lazard, like you mentioned, this is the crazy thing. And this is probably one of the biggest problems of that offense, not just the play calling, but the fact that Nathaniel Hackett continues to use Lazard like he's a speed demon.
Right.
He's a glorified big tight end. That's what he looks like. He's a big wide receiver who's not that fast. So when you have him running seam routes,
he does a lot.
He's not going to beat nobody.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. So I think, and that's the other kicker too, is I heard that Jeff Albright in his debut as an interim head coach said that they're going to make changes on the offense.
Yeah.
Like he's going to make it. You mean like Robert Saleh?
Robert Saleh was going to do that same day.
Wanted to fire Nathaniel Hackett and actually promote someone that might give them a better chance?
Yeah.
Oh, so what are you going to do differently? You're going to keep Hackett, and what's going to change? So I'm curious to see how the team responds, for one, with Robert Saleh's firing. Like, are they going to rally? Are they going to just kind of say, fuck this? I don't really give a shit anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I'm curious to see how the team responds. And that's one. Two, does the offense really change at all? I don't think it will. But again, maybe it will. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And for the Bills, again, it's funny that Brian mentioned that, like, they're going to be healthy for once.
Yeah.
They have Ed Oliver back. They have Khalil Shakir. He's not even on the injury report. So finally, like, this team is going to be able to, as healthy as they are. Now, I think this is a tough matchup for both teams, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a must-win for both.
Yes.
Like, they both need to win this game. I am going to lean towards the Bills in this one. I think I don't know. Like, this matchup, it bothers me the fact that this offense is still struggling, even though Rodgers is there healthy, even though they've made the additions that they did. I don't know what's going to change in a week, but I'm going to go with a team that is a little more organized, I'll say.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with the Bills.
I agree, and that's the thing. That's what I mean. I had high hopes for the Jets and Aaron Rodgers because, again, you put Aaron Rodgers right there with the weapons. It's there, and that's the only thing that's holding me back because the defense is still who they are before. They're fine. That offense, you've got Aaron Rodgers there, Hall of Famer. You should be okay. And the Bills, again, early on in the season, looked really good, and they were a lot healthier then. So now, like you said, they got the guys back. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the defense is going to keep it tight here for the Jets.
Yeah.
But overall, I think just Buffalo on offense is still, despite even needing another weapon there, I think, for them, minus Diggs, still has the upper hand in this one. So I'm going to lean towards the Buffalo Bills on this one.
And one quick thing about the Jets, too, is everyone is kind of like concerned, like, oh, what about the running game? What about Breece Hall? Like, why isn't he being able to get back on track? Well, here's an interesting thing is I looked up his stats as a runner, and he has -7 yards per play right now because the offensive line, it's not him.
Yeah.
It's not him as a running back. The offensive line, when he gets the ball, there's one or two guys already behind the line of scrimmage already. Like this poor dude who is one of your top talented guys, he can't even show off his talent because the offensive line's not run blocking well. So as much as we talked about the upgrade at offensive line, they are not doing a good job run blocking at all. Pass blocking, they're okay at. They're still not great at that either. But the run blocking is a problem because, again, like the Cowboys, if you can't run, you're one-dimensional, and it's easier for defenses to attack. So
right.
Let's see if anything changes. Like, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they throw some new wrinkles, but it'll be a game to at least check out and see if both teams.
Right.
Let's see if they both can get it back on track.
Right. And bad franchises always end up
Make
with the same problem.
Poor decisions.
Yeah, they always
just
have
make
the same
bad
problem.
decisions.
How many years have we talked about the offensive line not being very good? You know,
I mean, at least they tried this year.
Yeah.
They really did.
Yeah,
they brought in
I
a
know.
lot of different players.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times they try. I mean, look at the Giants have tried for so many years too.
Well,
so
they've neglected that area for quite some time.
But so all right, there you go. That's it. That's our show for this week. We definitely appreciate
Thanks, guys, for
everybody
tuning in.
joining us tonight,
Yes.
especially all of our Floridians out there. Our thoughts and our prayers with everybody out
Absolutely.
there.
Be
and
safe,
best
everybody.
wishes for everybody. We know some people also evacuated or went north or east to try and get away from the hurricane. So the fact that you guys spent time with us tonight
Means a lot. It means a lot.
that really means a lot to me.
Thank you guys
Yeah, it
so
really
much.
does. I'm really excited to hear that. And we wish you guys the best, and we hope you guys are all right through the night. And definitely reach out to us. Let us know to keep us posted on how
Yeah, give
everybody's
us an
doing out there.
update.
So
Absolutely.
thank you so much, Joe. One last time for anybody that's joining us now that hasn't still figured out where they
Yeah.
can find more of us,
Right.
despite just checking out our personal Facebook pages or the Football on the No group.
If you're just tuning in or if you've been here the whole time, really do appreciate you guys. For all our Floridians and people down south, we really wish you all the best. Stay safe, and definitely keep in touch for sure. Do us a huge favor for everybody else out there. Head over to YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for us. It really does help the channel a lot. Helps us a lot to get noticed by other know-it-alls. Also, hit the thumbs up real quick. Don't forget to share it to anybody that is down for the NFL talk. This is the best interactive NFL talk show you're going to find. Like, I'm sorry. We're self-proclaimed, but we want to prove it to everybody out there. Really do appreciate it. Life Changer just tuned in. He said, have a good night, guys. Prayers out to Florida. Absolutely. And he goes, moonshine.
Moonshine.
That's his
Nice.
recommendation.
Moonshine.
Anyway, yeah. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Can't wait to see you guys all next week, where we get once again perplexed by the games that we're
hopefully
about
we can
to watch.
turn around on our picks and moonshine. Hey, we get to 200 subscribers, we'll do a moonshine episode.
Well,
how about that?
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah,
for
there
sure.
you go. All
Jesus.
right, how about that? All right, thank you so much, you guys, and we'll see you guys next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the No with Jim and Joe.